Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Three Sisters Circuit for round 5 of the Tripz British Supermoto Championship. We're here bathed in sunshine for a change. It's been a bit of a changeable weekend, Danielle, and looking forward to some great racing. We've got Superpole then just coming up here. Riders out on circuit at the moment, just doing their last few laps to determine who will go through to our Superpole session. And it's been a pretty interesting day so far. We've had a bit of wind and a bit of rain, but sunshine at the moment and a clear, dry track.
Yep, it's now definitely full slicks. So a few riders went out on wets this morning, but I think even practice it was probably full slicks. Few complaining about how slippy that dirt section's been this morning, dragging quite a bit of dirt onto the track, but definitely full slicks now. Sun is shining. So on the screen now, we've got our current championship standings. In first place, we've currently got Jamie Duncan, who played his double points at Crail the previous round, followed by Chris Hodgson, then Richard Sharp, Richard Blakeman, Oliver Holmes, who also played his double points at Crail, along with Ian Bremner. Alex Blaney didn't ride yesterday, did he? He's had a bit of an off on his motocross bike, so he's a bit battered and bruised, but he's racing again today.
Yeah, I spoke to Alex yesterday in the pits. He was, like I say, a little bit battered and bruised after an off and elected to sit out yesterday. But he's going to be keeping his powder dry for today. Like I say, currently good championship position for him, obviously leading the under-21 series. And as such, that's his priority for this year. Although I think that it's fair to say that the under-21 championship is a bonus, currently lying 7th in the points. But yeah, we've had a changeable weekend so far. Yesterday was heavy rain here pretty much from middle of the afternoon, and good weather for ducks. But we are blessed with some decent weather so far today. Clouds are quite high, and we're just waiting then for the end of this session to come as we watch Richard Sharp then just backing it into the turn at the end of the straight. Excellent camera position. I think the guys have moved these round a little bit from the first round that we did here in Easter, which, if you remember, we had a few issues with that one, and we actually ran out of time at the end of that one. So hopefully everything will go according to plan today. But this view into turn 1, absolutely cracking camera positioning. And then we make our way up the off-road there. That's just a gravel section. A lot easier today than it was yesterday, where we came in from the bottom of the hill there in the left-hand side of the thing, and it was a right-hand turn into that uphill off-road. But this layout for today, that's going to be a lot better. I think if we do get some inclement weather as well, I think it will handle it a lot better.
I don't think we're forecast any rain until late on this afternoon, so hopefully we'll get the racing done before that. I don't think I've changed as many wheels as I did yesterday, going from slicks to wets, back to slicks, back to wets. The top of that off-road section there going on to what is Coward's Summit was incredibly slippy for that final race yesterday afternoon. I know for myself it was just like a skid pan up there, just dragging all that mud up there. So it's probably still a bit dusty now with how much was dragged off yesterday, so might be spinning up. We've got our socials, so make sure that you're keeping up to date with all the latest from the British Supermoto Championship. So remember to like and subscribe to the TNL_sports YouTube channel, where sport lives, to bring you all the British Supermoto action live and on demand, free of charge. You can also get your daily dose of Supermoto action on the British Supermoto's Instagram feed, which is at British Supermoto, where you'll find plenty of exclusive content and action. So on there, I know we've seen a few of these getting to know you videos. So been great to see a few of our riders having a chat.
There's some characters around the pits for sure. So, and that's one of the things with Supermoto as a sport. It's very, very friendly, very, very approachable. Everybody will help everybody else out, even though they are the competition. But certainly, it's a friendly place, and like I say, follow all the social media. Also, you can follow the British Supermoto community and be part of the conversation on the Facebook group. So, for those of you that want to get that little bit more interaction. But so we're waiting then just for our Superpole riders to be confirmed. And as it looks at the moment, from what we're seeing, it should be fastest qualifier then is at the stand. It stands at the moment, the 5 to go through to Superpole will be the number 1 Automotive Solutions Husqvarna of Chris Hodgson, who did a can't read that because it's in purple.
113.8.
So 113.8 for Chris Hodgson. Second place, Storm Stacey, then he did a 114.03. Third place, then the Humber Garage Racing Honda of the number 33 Londoner Jay Smith, who did a 114.4. Fourth place, the 217 Bathmate Husqvarna of Richard Sharp, who did a 115.1. And fifth place, and the last rider to make it through to Superpole, the number 7 Contract Solutions KTM of current championship leader Jamie Duncan. So just a quick chat about what we saw at our last round at Crail. A really interesting situation. 3 riders tied on points at the end of the day. The win going to Chris Hodgson for his basically winning the final race. It all came to count back for the top 3. I think Richard Sharp was 4 points off the win in 4th. I think he went like 3-3-3-3 or something through the whole day. But great racing up there at Crail, and obviously it's tightened the championship up. And we get live feed then from our pit lane. We can see the number 7 then of Jamie Duncan. He will be the first rider out on the circuit. And as we say, all these riders then should be fully slicked up. No wet tyres in the front. It is a very, very been a real weekend of tyre choices. A couple of guys gone brave with slicks in some earlier races and not had it paid off. But so we're going to see Duncan out on track first on that number 7. Like I say, he took victory in a race up at Crail, won race 2, made some really, really good passes in the off-road section. Just talking to Jay Smith, who was on the receiving end of one of those. And he definitely made some good points back, and obviously played his joker up there as well. So that has elevated him to the top of the championship as we stand at the moment. Yeah,
chatting to him while we were at Crail, he knew he had them sort of passes hid up his sleeve, so he tried lining that one up on Jay a few times where he got him just coming off the off-road by taking that outside line.
So here comes Jamie then, round Luna, just winding up. And he will make his way. Gets the green flag from Kirk. This is a great view into turn 1. A little bit of water running across the circuit there, Danielle.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to affect them too much. Maybe more mental for some of the riders. That off-road now looking a lot drier compared to yesterday, but you can see all that dust spinning up a little bit there as he comes off the off-road and now heading down Coward Summit.
So Coward Summit down the hill now. This is a real fast bit of the track, a lot faster than it looks. Again, you've got to be careful just where that roof is. You've got to miss that white line as he tips into the corner at the end of pit lane. Through the right-hander. He'll now go down this short straight. Hard on the brakes, then into a left-hander. And then this left kink into the off-road. Careful not to hit the bars on the tyre wall. Up over this pop-up tabletop. Actually, this is the wrong way round for that, really, because it's a short. We're going up the landing side of that. Through into the off-road section. We're not using the jump because of the rain that we had. Just too many puddles in there. But a decent run through then for Jamie Duncan so far. Down the Rogerson straight. Kicks inside there to miss the dirt on the tip-in. Into the final bit of Luna. Just has the front go a little bit. You have no idea how slippy it is round there today. A lot of dirt being dragged on. Oh, Duncan will come across the line.
So we'll just wait for our timing screen to update. See if we can get a lap time for Jamie. So Jamie's done a 1:15.516. So it's now Richard Sharp out. He's now just taken that first corner, heading now towards this off-road section.
He's been in the form of his life for me, Richard Sharp, this year. Over 45 years of age. A steel erector who's been around this paddock a long while, and he's never been as competitive. I'm expecting him to win a race in this next few rounds. I know he's had a couple of wins on Saturdays, and he had a legitimate win in the championship last year, but he's consistently been there or thereabouts for every race this year, and he's got that bike working absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, that section of the track there where they head towards the tabletop is very similar to yesterday, so we were using that section and it was incredibly slippy, so I could just see a few riders maybe having a few mistakes there.
Hard on the gas then through this off-road gravel section. This next corner then really slippy, and again Sharpie not just not staying off the dirty section. This is the bit where it's bad, and you can just see the bike then just breaking away from him as he went from tipping left to tipping right, and this long 4 apex right-hand corner, and Sharpie comes across the line. See if he's managed to depose Jamie Duncan.
Next out, it'll be Jay Smith. So there's Jay now starting his hot lap. Just waiting for timing to update.
Well, Jay then had some bad luck so far this year, but he's been at the sharp end pretty much every race. Got a little bit mild out in the last race at Crail with the reverse grid, and just didn't manage to get through. Only needed one more place to take the overall and the points victory there, but he'll be out to try and do that this weekend. Hard on the gas, and again, just a little bit of trepidation. The track is dry, but it's also very dirty and very dusty. Potso, he was flat landing this yesterday, and we were going straight on after this jump, and it was really difficult to catch eyes on just exactly how hard he was landing that. But from where I was standing, it looks absolutely horrific how far over that jump he was going. But he's into the cut, makes a better fist of it, runs a little bit wide, and this will give him the slingshot onto the start-finish straight, leaning over Mark Reinerschmidt style. Smithy comes over the line. We're still waiting for our live timing to update here. So,
yeah. So I think now we've got Storm Stacey going out on his flying lap.
Here he comes. Oh, knee down, backing it in then for Storm Stacey. The number 79. Automotive Solutions, Husqvarna. And like I say, normally on BSB duty, but loves to get out here and race against these guys every week, every opportunity he gets. And he's across Coward Summit. And coming down the hill into the corner by pit lane, you'll notice obviously riding full road racer style. Oh, massive moment. Rear end steps out. Big wheelie. All action style of Storm Stacey. Now that is I have no words for that. That was unbelievable. Cost him time though. That's definitely not going to get him to the front of the grid. It may look spectacular, but it's not the fastest way.
Yeah, he's full on hanging it all out there for this Superpole lap. The one thing with Superpole is the worst he could get is a 5th.
Well, indeed, he's not going to be putting him to the back of the grid. And again, this is the bit where all of the riders, you can see, is almost holding the bike up on his knee, short shifting, getting the bike drifting. He was so good round here in the wet yesterday, and he comes across the line. Again, unfortunately, still no live timing updates, but this is down to the app that we use for the timing. It's not our coverage because we draw directly from that, but it is Chris Hodgson then. Big mistake from Chris. Got the bike moving on the brakes on the way in and had to run wide. Now he's hanging a foot off there, so again struggling for grip, Danielle, as they make their way down Coward Summit. That dirt will drag on through the course of the day, and like I say, not from that camera angle you can't see the puddles at the side of the circuit that these guys have got to miss. Saw a few guys go down there yesterday, but Hodgie then just keeping things nice and tight.
Yeah, again, I'm assuming Chris is probably going to just clip that back wheel as he comes over.
Oh, he goes down, so Hodgie tucks the front. So just over that little wet patch, and Chris Hodgson then puts that number 1 Automotive Solutions Husqvarna on the floor. So what we do know then is that he will be starting from the second row for our first race of the day.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that the thing with Chris is he knows when to push and when not to push, but he was obviously having a go then, and it looked to me like maybe he just caught that damp patch and it just unsettled the bike. And he'll wheelie across the line and go back to the pits, and I won't say he'll laugh that off, but he won't let it affect his day.
No. Again, like I said, so 5th is the worst he's going to be starting. It's better to have done it in Superpole than on a fast qualifying lap to get him in Superpole, so he won't be happy with that, but I'm sure he knows what mistake he's made there. A few riders were commenting on that damp patch just as they were coming over the tabletop. So, and it isn't normally the normal way round for the tabletop either. It is backwards. So you have to get turned quite quickly there to be able to make it onto that middle dirt. So very technical coming off there, but it just shows that even the best can make a mistake.
So like I say, we are currently waiting for our live timing to update, and as it stands at the moment, we still don't have anything from our live timing app. I know that our timing ladies over on the other side of the circuit will have everything, but it's our upload to Speedhive that is currently not behaving itself. We only have a result for Jamie Duncan, so so we will be back shortly. We will get an update on the live timing for you. So when we come back for our first race of the day, we will obviously know who is going to be what, and we will look forward to seeing you shortly for the live coverage of the 5th round of the Tripz.UK British Supermoto Championship here at Three Sisters. Okay then, so the Academy class is in the holding area. We are waiting then for the end of the Superlight practice here at Three Sisters for round 5 of the Tripz.UK British Supermoto Championship.
So the Academy class sponsored by F&F Solutions Design and Build, the London-based company for design and architecture needs. We're now just in the holding area with some of these youngsters. There's Jackson Bennett, who had a brilliant qualifying 5th.
He did race with his dad, and for many years, from when his dad started back racing, and then obviously when he started beating me, we stopped being friends. But Jackson out on a new bike this weekend, or close to new, certainly a fresh one from when last time we saw him ride. Had a good day yesterday and qualified in a fine 5th position today. Charlie Cunningham then on the 65cc KTM, he's qualified 4th. That's the number 19.
We saw Liam Pearson there, the number 150. He's also on a new bike. He's on a new 85cc gas. So his dad Blaine, who also races, has treated him to that one, I think.
Yes, I think he had a chain problem yesterday. It meant he missed one of the starts of one of the races, but he had a very good ride in one of in the last race. That's the number 56. That is Max Rhodes, son of Paul Rhodes, who will, I'm not sure what the qualifying split's in, but he will certainly be in our A group. And sister Lily also there.
I think that one's Lily there.
Yeah, that's she qualified in 12th today, but she was absolutely unbelievable in the rain yesterday. We saw some fantastic racing here in the wet, of which you were out there enjoying the liquid sunshine yesterday. But
I'd have been happy if it rained all day.
But these junior riders then in our academy class, very much the future of the sport. We've seen lots of riders come through from the 85cc and 150 Honda powered bikes to get onto 250s and 450s and run at the front of our main races. In some recently with Alex Mullaney, our current under 21 championship leader, he came through this class. See the number 36, that's Harris Tall.
Good to see in the background there the 338 of Charlie Smith. He's making a comeback to racing. He rode yesterday in the Bambinos and felt happy enough to come back and have another go at racing. So
excellent.
Great to see him back out there having a go on a CRF 150. That's the 86 of Ruby Booth. So I'm really happy to see quite a few girls in this class. It's nice to see all the girls out there racing. So
Ruby was out on a super mini pit bike yesterday, a 140, whatever they are, on Honda or whatever. But she's out there on what I would consider to be a proper supermoto bike. It looks like it's an 85cc Husky. Again, she was incredibly quick in the wet yesterday. The bike that she was out on yesterday, not a match for what she's riding today. So it'll be interesting to see what she manages to do in the dry conditions. And like I say, that looks that's an 85cc Husky, and then we've got what used to be the staple of the Supermoto game back in the day was the 150 Honda, was the first one that people really started doing seriously. And they've been around a long time, but they're easily found. And conversion costs are not particularly expensive. You don't need to go to silly money things with brakes and suspension, just a set of wheels and tyres. And I think the tyres that these guys use, they've got like an intermediate that will do dry and wet up to a point conditions. And certainly that's a good entry level into the sport if you've got a son or daughter. And I say we've got a good ladies championship. And we've got probably 5 or 6 girls that are competing regularly in the academy. Not all of them are out in this one today, but some of them were in there yesterday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some of the girls. So Isabel Wingate, Lily Rhodes, Ruby Booth, all making their way up to our ladies championship. So at the moment, the ladies class runs over the big bikes, so 450s, your 250s. But even if they jump on a 125 and get out there on those bigger wheels, can't wait till we start racing with them.
And the thing that struck me yesterday, and also for the previous rounds that we've done, that we've showed you here on the TNL Sports channel, is the kind of the quality of the riding. They know where they're going on the track. They're not just out there going around. They're racing. They're giving respect. Obviously, we've got there's fast guys and girls and slow guys and girls, but they all give each other respect. But the racing is still really, really good. There was one of the races yesterday where, in fact, 2 or 3 of the races yesterday where we saw the riders over the line literally half a wheel. They didn't give up right till the end. It was really, really good to see. But this is round 5 then of their Academy Championship here at Three Sisters. We're at Ashton and Makerfield on the outskirts of Wigan. One of the tracks that it doesn't really attract a lot of attention, doesn't get big meetings. It's a well-known kart circuit. We've been coming here for years. It is the spiritual home of British Supermoto. We have so many different track layouts here that that are available to us to use, and I don't think we've ever used the same one. I can't remember using the same one twice in a weekend, and I think that there's probably about 10 or 12 different versions of the circuit that we can use even before we start running it the wrong way around, which I know that although they've done that a few times, I've never actually ridden here. But we've saw riders of the ilk of Casey Stoner and Neil Hodgson cut their teeth at Three Sisters. Casey Stoner going on to be MotoGP champion for Ducati. He learnt his craft on a 125 riding around this circuit in the winter, and pretty much has nothing but good things to say about it. We can see the riders coming to the line then for this first race. Spectators there in the background. And it is a nice day. There's a little bit of breeze, enough to dry the track out nice and quickly this morning. We did have a little bit of rain overnight, but it's dry so far. Everybody wants it just to be a dry or a wet race, and we don't really want that in-betweeny kind of conditions. But like I say, you were out there yesterday, and obviously you know your way around this track as well as anybody. The layout that we've got today, is that going to favour the 150 Hondas or the 85cc 2-strokes, or is it not really going to make much difference?
So I think it's going to make a difference on CC with these sort of bigger bikes, so the 85s compared to the 65s, especially going over Coward Summit and down to the mountain. That corner there onto the pit lane straight is incredibly quick. But a lot of these younger riders make up their time in the corners, so what they lose on straight line speed, they're able to carry so much corner speed, even compared to the big bikes. It's incredible to see how fast they are. Tabletop, again, none of these riders on their smaller wheels clearing that, but most in the C group yesterday weren't clearing it, myself included. So you can see a bit of water there running across the track. Might be a case that if they catch maybe the front brake on that, it could tuck a front. We saw even Chris Hodgson took the front coming off there earlier in Superpole. But these smaller wheels across the dirt, there's no jumps today, which is a big difference. A lot of the time here we do use the middle dirt, which they're going on to now. We use them jumps, but last round we did end up with some ruts forming. There's some quite big puddles there from the inclement weather we've had. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be favouring 2-stroke over 4-stroke. I think more the CC with just sort of how fast this track layout is.
So we see the number 40 of Archie Ormerod just doing a bit of a stoppie, getting himself there. He qualified in 3rd position. And our pole sitter then is the 191 of Tyler Humphries. 2nd place then, Jordan Thomas. He had a couple of spills yesterday. The number 34 there on the outside of the front row is Charlie Cunningham. He is on a 65cc bike, so expect to see him getting a little bit out dragged down the straights. But as Danielle just said, incredibly quick round the corners. And then on the 2nd row of the grid, then heading that up is the much improved 79 of Jackson Bennett. Like I say, new bike underneath him. And his dad's got his hands full with also having an older brother riding, Carl Bennett, riding now in our adult classes. He came off these 85s. But as your dad Andy points to the lights then, we're waiting for the first race to get underway. The lights will change and away they go.
Charlie looking like he was almost on the grass there from that outside line on 4th.
Now down into turn 1, and it is our pole sitter then, Tyler Humphries, that leads into turn 2.
Tyler, a regular in the Scottish Supermoto Academy class, so these tricky off-road conditions won't be phasing him.
A lot of off-road up there in Scotland, so those tracks will have taught him well. We watch our riders then through safely over the top, down Coward Summit and round past the pit lane for the first time. And Tyler Humphries then, he leads. Well, you watch the number 5 there. That's one of the Automotive Solutions Huskies. So you see like as Danielle said, these guys not clearing this, Cunningham and trying to then put a pass on the number 40 of Ormerod there, but not managing to make it over. The number 5 is whose son was that?
So
Paul Reynolds, his son. It's Archie Reynolds. Yeah, I think he's not been riding that long, but he's starting to get his head around it a little bit. And the race leader then onto the start-finish straight for the first time, and already starting to open out quite a gap. 2nd place then still going to be the.
So it looks like in 2nd place that possibly is Jordan Thomas. Our live timing hasn't updated here just yet.
Yes, it is Thomas. So he had a good day yesterday, but ended up on the floor a couple of times in the pursuit of Tyler Humphries. And as such, it meant that he finished the day on a bit of a downer. But it's good to see him back out there tomorrow and today. Sorry, after what happened to him yesterday, and he's definitely up for a bit of a challenge as they chase down the number 191 of Tyler Humphries.
I've got to say, it's good to see Tyler riding in that very typical Supermoto riding style. That leg out, his elbows are up. Just now they're heading towards the tabletop. He's using that inside foot just sort of as a bit of a feeler. They're over the tabletop smoothly. Pulling now a bit more of a gap on Jordan Thomas.
You can see where that water running down just on the downside of that tabletop. Got to be treated with care. Across the gravel section then in the centre of the circuit. And this corner, this left-hander, very, very slippy. A lot of dirt dragging out onto the Rogerson straight. It does make that straight look very short on that head-on. And then we've got the direction change here from left to right.
In the background, it looks like Charlie Cunningham's managed to find a way by the number 40 of Archie Ormerod. So that puts Charlie up to 3rd on that 65cc.
So race leader then across the line. We're looking at his start. He's still Cunningham. He's closing in a little bit on our 3rd place rider, on our 2nd place rider, the number 18. So Cunningham then lights the rear up there. So Charlie Cunningham definitely getting a bit of a move on. He was very fast yesterday in the twistiest parts of the circuit. We see them there in the background. And they come past pit lane. Underneath our commentary position then. And Cunningham is looking very racy. He's like I say, he does struggle with the top end speed on that 65, but he's incredibly quick through the corners, riding knee out road race style.
Watching him here, he seems to close the gap on Jordan now as they're coming over this tabletop. So see if he can keep that gap closed. I know off this middle off-road section, it's quite fast then heading towards Luna. But looks like Jordan's just got that top-end speed on the 85.
The thing with Charlie is he's not afraid to hang it out where he needs to. Some of the bits that we saw yesterday, he was running very, very deep into the turns and getting the knee down even in the wet. A little bit of a bobble there. But Cunningham coming... Like I say, this is the bit where he loses out on top speed, but he's much better onto the brakes on that smaller bike.
He's a lot closer going into that first corner as well compared to the last lap. So you can see closing that gap up as they enter this first off-road section.
And he's got it down to a couple of bike lengths, and he gets the power down. Like the 65 will tend not to spin up as hard. Obviously hasn't got the power of the 85, and then he cracked the throttle open, but you can see Cunningham very fast off Coward Summit. They come around the end of pit lane, and he's looking like he's going to try and throw it down the inside, and indeed here he goes. Oh, not quite close enough, but I'll say he telegraphed that move. Obviously, we were the people that could see that coming. But I think that if he's sitting where if he hasn't made the pass before he gets there next lap, he will be making sure that he does throw it down the inside. He backs out of that, I would say a little bit early, but if it was the last lap, I think they did let the brakes off, but decided that discretion was the better part of valour. Didn't force the issue.
Great racecraft from these younger riders as well. So knowing when to sort of make a move and try a pass. It shows there. Doesn't look quite as close to him now going into Luna.
Yeah, he's just losing out a little bit of time. But this time, is Cunningham going to try and come through on the brakes? Those outside to come tight. He is a little bit better through that corner, and you can see then just down to 2 or 3 bike lengths. Must make their way past a slower rider. So this is where he was fast last time, Danielle. He's going to get right onto the back of him, and he's going to try and shape up and have a run down the inside. He looks over the shoulder, and this time he covers the move. So Cunningham not able to dive down the inside as he looked like he was trying to do earlier on. And here he goes again. Right on the back wheel then. Through into the off-road section. And tarmac, this used to be gravel years ago. But this is road planings on this part of the circuit, and there is a lot of grip there until there isn't. And obviously, even with it being a straight, but all the dirt dragging on down through that corner. As Cunningham still then trying to find a way past, and you can see that little bit of a wobble as everybody goes from left to right. There's just a really slick part of the track there, been catching a lot of people out. But Tyler Humphries then still away at the front, and he's long gone. And so unfortunately our live timing link is not giving us any feedback here in the studio, in the comms box. So we can only see what you can see. Oh, they both lit up. Formation sliding there.
Yeah, both of them making a little bit of a mistake there as they come off the off-road. But Charlie seeming to be carrying a lot more speed into that last corner before the pit lane. But after that mistake, not quite close enough to make a move up the inside. But following him, heading towards the tabletop.
But he's putting Thomas under all sorts of pressure. And still, the little 34 on that 65, Charlie Cunningham. 4 foot off the footrest there on the landing for Thomas. He just managed to gather it all up and didn't panic as they got onto the wet. They just come up against a slower rider through this off-road section.
Looks like that was the number 36 of Harris Tall. Again, another rider on one of them smaller CC bikes.
So this is, again, from this change of direction here. It's just that little... I don't know why it is. Obviously, Three Sisters, not only is it the home of Supermoto, I think it's also considered the home of British drifting as well. And those guys don't have hammered the tarmac and take a lot out of it. And it just leaves a few slippy patches, certainly in these, I won't say they're changeable conditions, it is virtually fully dry. As you can see, Cunningham then making a move then to try and go up the outside into the gravel. He's going to try and cut up the inside on the way out, but not able to make it through as they come back over Coward Summit. And again, we're going to see that Thomas knows he's there. Is he going to look over his shoulder to see if he still has a quick look? Covers the inside. Cunningham's going to come down the inside again, but again, just not, I won't say not quite brave enough. The pass wasn't on. Again, he's bearing in mind he's giving away 20 cc's, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you've only got 85, it certainly helps. Cunningham looks like he made a bit of a mistake there.
So with live timing back on, Charlie does actually have a faster lap than Jordan. So Charlie managing to do a 127.9 in comparison to Jordan's 129.0. So it really is just a case of he just can't make a pass stick.
But Thomas then, again, just still making that little bit of a wobble through that. He's actually got a bit of breathing space through Luna this time.
There's the Kirk with that last lap flag out, so Charlie will know it's now or never if he's going to try and make a pass, but just isn't quite as close as he has been on previous laps.
Again, just spinning the rear up a little bit, but I think that Thomas has spent as much of this race not looking backwards, but he's certainly been more worried about holding off the challenger Charlie Cunningham and than he is after chasing Tyler Humphries. But Humphries off down the road to the tune of 11 seconds. Cunningham then still not close enough to make that move. But he's getting closer this time. This is where he's got a chance. Neither of these kids particularly big, so he's not going to have an advantage on the brakes, but he just doesn't seem to be able to get out of this corner quite as well as the bigger bike. Again, he's choosing not to ride through the water there as well. Back marker coming up in this off-road section, so is this going to give Cunningham a chance? He just has a bit of a slide there with the front, and as a result just loses a few bits, as we see. The race leader then will come across the line to take the checkered flag, so it is a victory for Tyler Humphries, and a fairly comfortable one at that. That's the easiest thing he's had. And then the second place battle then does go the way of Jordan Thomas. He has a well-deserved second. Charlie Cunningham a close third. We look back then, the fourth place rider currently showing on our timing is Archie Ormrod.
Great move there. I'm not quite sure who that was. Was that
looks like it.
Leon? Is that Leon Tall managed to get round the outside? Yeah. So that was I'm not seeing a 77-hour timing screen, but that move round the outside of Jackson Bennett there, really well done.
Yeah, Jackson Bennett then had a really good qualifying, but doesn't appear to have managed to take that form into the race. I don't know whether he had a moment at some point, but he's back down there in 11th. But really close across the line there between Liam Pearson and Isabel Wingate, who I apologetically keep calling Annabelle, which is really embarrassing. But her mum says we can call her Belle, which means that's just really easy. And she has been riding really, really well lately. And she takes an excellent 7th. And Liam Pearson then, he just comes in 6th behind Tom Nutter in 5th. And Pearson out there on his new Gas 85, so that will be easily the best result he's had on that bike this weekend. So that is our Supermoto Academy Race 1 in the books. Hopefully these guys will come down. I'm not sure whether we're getting a podium for our Supermoto Academy guys or not. We have that down here in pit lane as we wait for our C group then to go out on the circuit.
So some quite fast guys here in this C group. Shows just how quick the pace is today.
Yeah, it's been this one brought to you by Technitive, who are obviously our partners here with the TV live stream, and British Supermoto C then. So this is our clubman, kind of novice class riders, but it's not like that anymore. As you say, the level of the competition is such that if you're just a little bit off the pace, then it's so tight from B's to A's.
Big shock for me on this one would be the number 17 of Gareth Baxter. So he's qualified 6th in the C's, whereas yesterday he did actually make it to the back of the A group and got Rider of the Day.
I know, I was as stunned as you were to see him down there in pit lane. But Baxter then obviously had a really good day in the wet yesterday, and as a result of that, got our vote for Rider of the Day. But on today's showing, he's not where we would expect to be. But again, mixed. I must say mixed this morning, but it was damp with a few damp patches and a bit windy, and I think that everybody was just a little bit circumspect on the dirty track, shall we say, not wanting to throw it up the road. So we'll have a look then at our pole sitter.
So on pole we have the 944 of Mark Stevens on his Husqvarna, previously riding a Honda. Followed by the 101 of Neil Meelan. Saw he had a few little wobbles yesterday. And then the 117 of Dave Spafford. And the Tripz UK rider of Jason Slater. So 3 out of our 4 on the front row are all over 45 as well.
Yep, it's not a young guy's game at all, this sport. That's one of the beauties of it as well, that motocross tends to get to your body a little bit, but Supermoto a little bit more forgiving. And we've got plenty of... we've got as many senior riders as we have juniors. But Mark Stevens then, he's been doing this a long while. Dave Spafford then on the 117 Honda, that's a 2003 450 that he campaigned for many years, and he's had a great day yesterday, and qualified on the front row with the C group. I would not be surprised to see him end up in the B's at some point, because that's how we work it here at the British Supermoto Championship. If you finish in the top 2 in your group, so top 2 in the C's will go up to the B's for the next group of races. If you have a bit of a mare in qualifying, it gives you the chance to kind of fight your way through. And what we saw yesterday was that in the wet conditions, Spafford then came through from the C group in the first group of races, started from the back of the B group, and ended up starting the last B group race on the front row of the grid after riding through a 25 rider field in the wet. Pretty sure that he's going to struggle to do that against this standard of riders, because obviously Mark Stevens, Jason Slater, Gareth Baxter, also Duncan Wright to a point, all decent performers. 123 of Keith Edwards out there, also qualifying in 20th. We'll give him a heads up on the number 27 CCM is our 2000 reigning British Supermoto champion Keith Jackson, 64 years old, won the championship in the year 2000. And returning to Three Sisters on, I don't think it's one of his original bikes, but on one of the old CCMs. And, he knew how to ride. If you wanted to win back in the, 1998, rode Supermoto for 30 years and was Eurosport champion 23 years ago. And he's out there on this grid as we wait for the lights to change. Oh, we've got a bit of a delay. We'll just have to wait and see what's going on there. Looks like a problem for Jason Slater. The bike had stopped, had a bit of an issue, so Andy will bring them back under starters orders. Green flag from the back of the grid for Kirk. Andy points at the lights, and we wait for them for our Supermoto C group, brought to you by Technitive, as they make a run down to the first turn. And it looked like Neil Meelan got the whole shot. Jason Slater then decided that he was going to lead into turn 1, but went straight on. Oh, and well, that was a bit not quite sure what went on there. I think that was Slater ran out of talent a little bit there.
Yeah, Jason also recovering from shoulder injury, so hopefully he's okay after that.
The race leaders then already over the top of Coward Summit, so let's see who ended up, and it does look like is that the 17 of Gareth Baxter that's at the front there.
It does look like that. It looks like we've got the 17 of Gareth Baxter, followed by the 944 of Mark Stevens.
the rest of them steam. There we go. Keith Jackson then in the middle of the pack there on that number 27 CCM. Like I say, 64 years old. And I wouldn't want to be out there racing against him. But race leader then Baxter clears the tabletop nicely. Like I say, he made his way. Spafford in there on the 177, the 99. Also in there as well. Field streams through. First lap. As the field comes through on the first lap then. Race leader then Baxter then. We'll just see if, like I say, everybody really, really careful. I watched from there this morning, Danielle, and everybody literally looked like they'd won the bike in a raffle this morning. Because the way that they were so ginger through. The track looked dry, but it was just such a weird change of tarmac that caught them all out. But Baxter then, it is through that wet patch there, which doesn't appear to be giving anybody any problems. So Baxter then from Stevens. Duncan Wright then on the 111. He broke a suspension link yesterday, and they were fixing that as I left the circuit last night. Managed to find one from somewhere else, and so he believed that he borrowed Anne Savage's bike to do one of the races yesterday, and he's there in third. Gave him a little bit of stick about making hard work of the job, and he needs to get himself up into the B group out of qualification, but it's so tight. We can see by the standard of riders at the front of this C group, as you said, Danielle, that qualification is everything.
Yeah, we've got quite a few riders racing today that didn't race yesterday as well. So we've got Ben Green, Andy Hayes, Stephen Gallimore. So Steve's normally quite up there in the C group. Now on a Husky, I think he is. Whereas he was racing that two-stroke. Right,
okay, so that's why he's not kind of gone on my radar, because he's turned up with a different bike. You kind of get used to who's riding what. But our race leader then, Baxter, still, he'll be conscious of the fact that whilst the win is good, he looks over his shoulder then and he'll see that he's got a little bit of a gap on the 944 of Mark Stevens. But he'll just be conscious of the fact that all he needs to do is win this C group race and progress to the back of the Bs and take his points tally with him. But making it up to the next group, there's only two of these riders going to go up, and Stevens closes right up the off-road, but just blows the turn a little bit. But he's not off the hook, and I think that if Baxter has another look, he'll be surprised to see how close the 944 Husky is.
Mark Stevens, with quite a lot of off-road experience, also races the vintage motocross scrambles. So I think he's got a Old Bull Taco.
Yeah, he's also another old motocross guy like myself, but he rides the really old stuff, whereas I just ride old stuff. But he's been around motorcycle sport a long while. Now, is he going to have a go down the inside of Baxter? Baxter clears that very easily, but Stevens is looking like he wants a bit of this win. He's not settling for second. Spafford then there in fourth, fifth Andy Hayes, sixth Dan Spencer. And Spencer had a good day yesterday. First race in the dry, he rode out of his skin. And up in the B group, in the top six in that one, but again, down in the C's today. And trying to make his way through. But these front two then, just over a second gap now, back to the 111 of Duncan Wright. They've dropped him off. It does look like Baxter on that Automotive Solutions Husky is faster around this end of the circuit than Stevens, but from here, pretty much around to the start of the off-road, Stevens has got the advantage, and he's going to try and force a move around the outside. Not a lot of room there. We saw that yesterday, people trying to make passes on the outside, and you just run out of real estate as you exit the off-road section. Past pit lane, there's the gap back to Duncan Wright, and we've got a battle on our hands because Andy Hayes on the 99. Yeah, last saw him at Rowra take a bit of a spill in the off-road. But he's always looking for a bit of an outside line around the 111 of Duncan Wright.
Yeah, Andy riding with that knee-down style. So, might be looking for a move around Luna if he can line something up there.
Queuing up behind him there, Spafford, and also Spencer and the 44 of Jake Bunting on the Goon squad. I think that's a Husky that Bunting's on. It's always my go-to bike. If I don't know what it is, it's always a Husqvarna, unless it's a KTM with Husky plastics on. But
I Well, that's what a husky was, a KTM.
Well, it is, isn't it? We could have that debate for another time. But is the weapon of choice for the paddock these days? As Dan Spencer then makes a run down the inside of Dave Spafford. Obviously, the tumble that we saw that took out Neil Meelan and Jason Slater. I mean, Slater just ran wide and decided that I'm going to get to the second turn first as well. But unfortunately, Meelan was already turning in, and nothing that he could do, was completely wiped out through no fault of his own. But here we go then, round the outside again. Andy Hayes, he doesn't like following it, and here he is. This is what it's all about, round the outside of Duncan Wright. That's a fantastic move, and here comes Spencer the other side.
He's managed to make the move stick this time, so he's made that move stick. Just coming up on a back marker there, I think that looks like Maid Chalice on that older Husqvarna. That
is a nice bike. May had a good day yesterday. Her and Tanya Atwood had a couple of decent battles, but I think she's had a problem in this one, because we don't usually catch her this soon. But so Hayes has already gone and checked out. Spencer has passed Spafford as well, and Jake Bunting looks like he wanted a piece of that action, but that group behind then queuing up behind Duncan Wright now. He looked like he might be up for going through at the front. The battle at the front then between Baxter and Stevens, that's still under a second as they went across the line. Spencer then still trying to find a way past, and now Bunting has found his way past Spafford as well.
Duncan there making his way past, that was Tani Atwood on her Husqvarna. Dan Spencer looking like he's catching Duncan, maybe looking to the inside.
So we get Dan just working the inside line there. Obviously not feeling brave enough to go around the outside, but that pass by Andy Hayes, you don't see many people do that. Obviously at in the faster classes, that's just a pass that you can't do because you run out of grip or talent or both at some point and end up on the floor. But Andy Hayes, knowing that with that road race style and just having a little bit of confidence in the tyres than obviously Duncan Wright had got, or in the amount of grit that was out there, he just rode around the outside of him, and there's nothing worse than that as a rider when you think you're on the limit and somebody rides round the outside of you and you just really realise that you could have gone a lot faster. And by the time that penny drops, it's already too late. But Spencer then winding up onto the back straight out of Luna. Is he going to have a go down the inside of Duncan Wright as they get into this corner that also has no name, but obviously it changes that many times. And around the outside, here's a pass. Bunting trying to drop it up the inside, but Spencer, it's not his first rodeo, and he just drops it across the front. Spafford's still there, making a nuisance of himself. Be interesting to know if he's out there on a rear wet on that 2003 450 Honda, because I didn't see him changing tyres in a hurry this morning, that's a certainty. But this is the battle. Oh, Bunting then trying to squeeze through. There's not really a lot of room there.
Yeah, it is very much single file through there. That move of Andy Hayes' around the outside reminded me a lot of Storm Stacey's move round the outside at Rowra on them hairpins, managing to just lay the bike down on his knee and get round the outside.
Definitely.
So at the front, it's Mark Stevens with the fastest lap at the moment. He's done a 1:21.8, but it's still Gareth Baxter out front with about a 1.1 between them on that last lap. So Mark's closed that gap right up.
He's right there again, cutting away from that other battle, but this is the one at the front. This is the one for the win. And that gap did go out to like about 1.8 seconds, but Mark Stevens managing to close it down.
Yep, it's looking like it's the last lap as well, so it is sort of now or never for Mark if he's going to try and make a pass. Both of these riders, as it stands, would be moving up to the B group for race 2, though.
Well, it's still not too late for it to go pear-shaped. We've seen this. In fact, they come up behind the 27 then of Keith Jackson. Like I say, the Northsport champion 23 years ago, and let's not forget he's 64, so he was over 40 when he won it. That just goes to show you, as he well, our leader's not able to get by. Well, that shows you he's not that far off the pace. But here they come then, as that just upset Baxter enough for Stevens to get a run as they come to the line. So Baxter then holds on by 0.15 of a second then from Mark Stevens. Third place should be the 99 of Andy Hayes, and the rest of the riders stream across the line. So it is indeed Andy Hayes from Dan Spencer. Jake Bunting making a pass on Duncan Wright on the final lap. That's the 286 of Ben Green.
You can see there the number 222 of Nathan Koenig there, just sort of getting up the inside of May Chalice on that older Husqvarna, making his way over to that middle dirt for the final time on his KTM. There's the 971 of Steve Smith, that Goon Squad Husqvarna there, coming round. He's currently in 20th position.
One of the things, we've got quite a lot of people who've kind of gathered themselves into what we call conglomerate teams, but it works well. They have a nice setup. You don't need to own everything, as long as everybody's got one or something. It keeps the cost down, means that everybody can we've got things like hand-me-down bikes and all this kind of stuff, where people will be buying bikes off each other and just keeping it trying to keep the cost of the racing down, but also giving them a little bit of exposure. And the Goon Squad, I think there's about 15 of them under that awning that when we walked by earlier on. And,
I think it's a competition in the paddock for who's got the largest team between Goon Squad and Bathmate this year.
It is, yes, but again, it's all part of bringing the sport to a little bit of a wider audience. And obviously they're represented, all of the teams are represented across all of the classes, which is one of the beauties of this. It's not it's not a competency hierarchy, but all of the teams have got top performers in them, and they've got mid-pack performers in them, and they've got guys and girls who are just starting off on their Supermoto journey. But this is then Supermoto Group B. So wind then 5 miles an hour, which is considerably less than it was yesterday, and dry conditions. So yes, pole position then is the number 8 of Paul Rhodes on his Husqvarna, the RWJ team. And now their team is an interesting one, because that is obviously Paul Rhodes and Dean Wingate, who is also out in this one today,
as well as Rich Jennings
and Richard Jennings, and all of their children. So they were all busy yesterday. Let's see.
In second, we've got the 42 of Oliver Holmes. Struggled quite a lot yesterday in the wet, so he won't be happy with being in the B group for this race. Currently fighting for the Clubman Championship, so he'll be looking to get back up to the A's where his other championship contenders are. Then in third, we have the 125 of Dean Wingate, also on that Team RWJ on his Husqvarna. Again, great ride from him yesterday. Rode really, really well. And then on fourth, we've got Kyle Eccleston, that Bathmate rider who didn't ride yesterday.
He was not here yesterday. He was out earning a crust yesterday, so he didn't join us for the festivities yesterday. So obviously the track being completely different one day to the next. As we watch the riders then come over the tabletop on this sight lap. Oliver Holmes then just get himself in 155. Chris Walker also there in the middle of this B group race, as well as Darryl Pennington. Both of those guys were in the A's yesterday on timing straight out of qualification. So it does show you that the depth in these classes changes from day to day. The 154 of Brett Haley, he had a second place yesterday, I believe, in one of the races. He was one of the guys that braved slicks when nobody else did, and marched through as the track dried. But our riders then coming round. Number 28. There is the rider from Jersey, Sam Tuzel. Him and his one of his compatriots coming over from the Channel Islands for their first visit to Three Sisters. Well, the fact that his teammate isn't in this race, he's definitely made it through to the beginning of the main race. So Sam Tuzel then very fast yesterday, but found himself on the floor a few times, coming and riding at Three Sisters, having never been here, racing against people who've done nothing but ride here. Very, very difficult. But we wait then for the start, and we get the green flag out the back of the grid, and Andy points to the light, so let's see who's going to get the whole shot. Away they go. A few riders bouncing about at the back. Looks like Oliver Holmes has got the whole shot, and he slides into turn one. So it is Holmes. Looks like Eccleston from the outside of row one then. Oh, he just gets caught. Rhodes rides around the outside of him up into the off-road, so Paul Rhodes then up to second. Looks like that's Dean Wingate there in fourth. Riders stalling in the centre of the pack. Not quite sure.
That looks like the 188 of Seth Gibson. They're stalling as he came off the off-road, so good job all the other riders managed to miss him as they were coming off there.
So down past pit lane for the first time then. The track now will have cleaned up as well as drying up. And a few desperate moves down the outside, but there it is, Oliver Holmes, number 42, the Channel Islander that now lives up in Scotland, and motocross graphics designer and manufacturer. I'm sure he's put stickers on quite a few bikes through this paddock in his time. So it is the number 42 then of Oliver Holmes holds I think he holds most of the hill climb records on Jersey, and interestingly Sam Tuzel and Matt de Brunt, who's the other guy over from Jersey, are the two guys trying to steal them off him currently, so a little bit of needle there, but all good natured. But Holmes then away at the front by a tidy margin, as we've got to change it for second place. It looked like Rhodes had run a little bit wide.
I think that might have been Rhodes managing to regain that second place there before they entered the off-road section.
So Rhodes from Eccleston from Dean Wingate, that looks like a great battle for second as the rest of the field stream through here in the off-road section. But it is the 42 of Oliver Holmes. And again, he's a guy that's not in the flush of youth. Certainly nowhere near as old as me, but not a youngster. Been around, he was racing back when I was racing in 2005. I think he started Supermoto, having been Jersey Hill Climb champion a number of times, and he went the route of what a lot of the Channel Island guys do, which is to go and ride in France and do the French Championship, because it's as easy to get to France as it is to get here, and some of their rounds are a lot closer. But there's Rhodes and the 2.55 Bathmate Husqvarna of Kyle Eccleston. Eccleston really fast through that midsection in Luna, so as you're going to get a run on the number 8 of Paul Rhodes, not really close enough. Looks like Rhodes was giving the curb a real miss on the outside of that turn, but you kind of end up doing that a little bit because it's such a long corner and you do not want to get it wrong on the way out. So Sam Tuzel there, he's currently in 5th, Chris Walker 6th, Blaine Pearson there in 7th. But this is the battle for the final qualification spot from to go up to the B group, to go up to the A group race. And again, Rhodes, been around a long time, stepped away from the sport for a few years, but been back for the last 3 or 4, and both his son and his daughter riding in our academy class. Eccleston not able to close him down sufficiently to put in a challenge, and Wingate also not able to do that. So Walker and Blaine Pearson, the next two guys on circuit. Walker there in the background on the Tripz.UK KTM. His teammate Jason Slater then, we saw him go down at the beginning of the C group race. Onto the straight again. camera angle doesn't really do justice to the speed that the guys carrying down the straight.
Can see there Oliver Holmes has extended his gap to about 2.1 seconds, so giving himself just that little bit of breathing room over this battle behind him.
Yeah, he'll definitely just be not pushing too hard, and definitely not wanting to make a mistake. You just see him then disappearing out of shot. But Paul Rhodes, not an easy guy to pass as he backs that RWJ Husky into the pit lane bend.
Another rider to mention is the 155 Tripz UK rider of Chris Walker. The Tripz boss there made his way up to 5th. Another surprise rider in this B group, normally well up into the A's.
We saw him win a couple of B group races in earlier rounds actually, but yes, he was buried in there, well in there yesterday. But it just goes to show you that obviously the Sunday race is the one that everybody keeps their powder dry for. It's the title championship, and it's what everybody wants to be in. And so quite a few guys then just deciding to ride the one day, and that's this one, because this is the big one. This is the one that they all want. And Rhodes currently then just got I would say a safe gap over Eccleston, but he's not under pressure from the Bathmate KTM. And like I say, Eccleston not riding yesterday through work commitments. A big hole there always used to catch me out. You think you're going to get into it or just miss the edge of it, and you hit it and it bounces you wide onto the loose marbles on the outside of the corner. And again, this corner at the bottom of the hill, a lot faster on the way in than it looks.
Eccleston not quite as close to Rhodes now as they're entering the tabletop. Wingate might be looking to join the mix though. He seems to be catching up to Eccleston quite quickly.
Like I say, looks like there's plenty of grip. The way that the weather's been today, I think we could have done something with that jump if we'd have just had a little bit more time yesterday dry to get it prepped. But it really was hammering down all day, and it was a good decision. It's a shame we haven't got to use it, but there's a lot of work gone into doing that. I know they did some prep on it on Friday evening to get it all ready, but just with the amount of water that we've got, it sits in that soft soil that we've got. And as a result, it was decided that we were just going to run down the side of it, and I still think that that's the right thing to do. But as we watch then, as Eccleston's still trying to get onto the back of Paul Rhodes, close enough to make a challenge, and it looks, well, obviously they're going very, very slowly at the top of that off-road, so the gap will come down. But it just looks like Paul manages to get the power on in a way that just allows him to put a couple of bike lengths into Eccleston as they come down to pit lane, and he never manages to catch him back up until the far end of the start-finish straight.
Rhodes has now got the fastest lap, doing a 1:17.3 on that last lap, so it looks like he's got his eyes set on the first place of Oliver Holmes. So I'm wondering if that's him trying to make that break from Kyle Eccleston.
Like I say, purple for Paul Rhodes on our timing screen, which tells us that he is the fastest man on track at the moment. But, with 4 laps showing to go, and he has broken away from Kyle Eccleston a little. I think Oliver Holmes, as he backs it into turn 1, has just shown enough of a turn of speed early doors to get this win. Certainly one hand on it. Like I say, it's very, very easy to go down. We've seen so many riders just now. We saw Chris Hodgson in Superpole just take a dive for. I can't remember the last time I saw Chris fall off. I know he did go down at Teesside. He had just got cross-rutted and went down in the off-road. But that was a rare mistake from our British champion, Chris Hodgson. So it's never over till it's over in Supermoto, and that's the thing that kind of makes it so exciting. That with the change in track conditions, and obviously all of these guys on slick tyres.
A little bit further back in the pack, it looks like the 151 of Blaine Pearson's just managed to get past Dean Wingate, so that takes him up to 4th. He's made his way past Chris Walker in the previous lap as well, so he's definitely on a charge on that KTM 450.
We've been a 2-stroke rider for a long while, Blaine Pearson, but 450 mounted these days, and making that one work well. But Oliver Holmes then across the line, and it is so a little bit strung out at the front of this one, but certainly no challenges coming. It looks like the Wingate charge that he was trying to put on as he's dropped off, and I could chat with him earlier on, and just saying that for as well as he rode yesterday, he didn't feel that he did anything any different that for other meetings where things had not gone so well. As we see in the bottom end of the screen there, a battle further down the field. And 6 or 7 riders there, all in a big group. That'll be Tuzel, James Wood, Craig Forshaw, Paul Reynolds and that. All having a big battle in the mid-pack. Seth Gibson on the back of that, as well as Carl Bennett. But this is our race leader then, across the dirt section. We should be getting the last lap flag, I think, next time by.
Paul Rhodes had managed to take that gap down to Oliver Holmes to less than 2 seconds, but it is currently sitting at about 2.2. So again, that bit of breathing room for Oliver Holmes now as he goes to, I think it'll be the last lap flag there from Kirk. So he'll know now, he'll probably be riding pretty defensive if he thinks Paul's there. Trying to hold it together for this last lap. You can see there in that Tripz shot, I think that was Chris Walker there coming around into that first corner.
The race leader then for the final time over the top of Coward Summit and down past pit lane. And Rhodes is comfortably ahead now of Kyle Eccleston in second, so those guys will be the two that will go through to our A final, or our A group race for the second group of races later on this afternoon.
Big gaggle of riders there. I think we've got, you were right with the James Wood, Craig Forshaw, Paul Reynolds, all there going on to their final lap.
But you always tend to find this first B group race, it's always the guys that only just missed out who seem to find a turn of speed that they didn't have in qualifying, and as a result they've had to battle their way through. So with Holmes and Rhodes then, we're going to move up to the A group for the next race, which will give us Kyle Eccleston will start from pole as Kirk waves the checkered flag, and number 42 KTM rider and Jersey man now domiciled in Scotland takes victory.
See if we can watch this battle with Kyle Bennett and Sam Tuzel as well, as they're on their last lap. Kyle was getting pretty racy going into this corner on pit lane, but there's a gaggle of about 6 riders all really close to each other. So you got Craig Forshaw, James Wood.
This is the battle that looks like Brett Haley in there as well. That looks like, is that Jamie Wrigglesworth in there in the middle of that battle as well, as they come across off the off-road section.
Also got the novice of Luca Jennings. He's running incredibly well this year so far, considering it's his first race season. Made his way, I think it was up to the A's yesterday. Great riding from him.
Oh, cheeky move up the inside there from that rig. Going to make the pass. We'll scroll down and see where that was. No, it would. We update our results. So it was a win then for the number 42 of Oliver Holmes, second place number 8, the RWJ of Paul Rhodes, and there he is indeed. So Paul Rhodes then, a nice cheeky grin, really, really likeable guy. Big thumbs up then from Oliver Holmes, who takes victory. Kyle Eccleston gets the bit on the podium that nobody wants. Fresh bike, fresh leathers at Rowra, and Eccleston then he'll be knowing that he's the guy that is expected to win the next one, because obviously the 2 guys in front of him there in first and second then expected to they're going to be going up into the B group. But Paul Rhodes then takes off his helmet. Our winners then will get their just desserts. So Supermoto A now then, brought to you by Sheen's project. Again, Richard Sheen, one of our riders here this weekend as well, and his company Sheen Projects then very much involved in industrial doors and windows and fireproofing and all that kind of stuff. So if any of you people out there in the building world need any of that stuff, Richard Sheen is your man. Very good company. So then, recapping then, going back to what we had for our Superpole, and unfortunately not anything that we were in control of. We just had an internet problem, which meant we couldn't get I think we couldn't get the uplink off to my laps. So it was the number 33, Jay Smith, that took pole position. He will start there on, as we see him pull up on the grid on the front row. So he will take pole from the number 79 of Storm Stacey.
Biggest loser from Superpole, I'd say, would be the number 1 of Chris Hodgson. He's back on the second row in 5th position next to the number 54 of Richard Blakeman. Jamie Duncan managing to move up to 4th with Superpole. That good lap from him. He'll be alongside the 217 of Richard Sharp. Again, another over 45 rider who's riding incredibly well at the moment. Yeah,
he's been my rider of the season so far, Richard. I've known him for a long while, but he's just in the form of his life. Hat tip also to Andy Mitchell. Andy again riding really, really well this year. But obviously the usual suspects at the front. Storm Stacey caught a crab over the top of that tabletop there. Ian Bremner, another guy that's been really, really good this year. And as I said, I've kind of put Ian Bremner on notice that he's no longer going to be considered a surprise inside the top 10 in this Tripz.UK British Championship anymore, because that's the level that he's been performing at in the recent rounds, and he was really good at Crail. He had a good day here yesterday, and as a result, you can see the number 34 there, the man from Kirkintilloch, I think it is, near Glasgow. That's the 78 of Peter Bennett, as they all lean down and put on their start devices. So what that is for the uninitiated, it's basically a piece of equipment fitted to the fork leg that compresses the front forks. You'll see this in MotoGP bikes, where the front forks are all compressed down nice and low for starts and when they go down the straights. And something that came from motocross, and everybody there just making sure that they are on. I don't think Storm Stacey actually bothers with one, but there's a lot of things that he doesn't do that everybody else does in Supermoto. Richard Sharp just leading the bike over there to get some all round the clutch. But here they go then, lights change. Let's see who's going to take the whole shot in this first race. And it looks like it's a good shot from Richard Sharp. It is. Sharpie gets the drop, so it is the pathmate Husqvarna of Richard Sharp. Gave him the big build-ups. Jay Smith there in 2nd. Bremner's there in 5th. Chris Hodgson up to 2nd, so Storm Stacey not getting off the line very well, back to about 6th or 7th. Jamie Duncan getting beaten up as well. But it is the 217 then, a Richard Sharp that leads for this first time as they come down past pit lane on board with Jay Smith, the number 33 Humber Garage Racing Honda. We look right up the exhaust points of 17-time champion Chris Hodgson. They make their way into the infield section. Absolutely rocket ship start then from Richard Sharp then, Danielle.
Yeah, backed it in nicely into that first corner and managed to stop and make his way round. Great move from Chris Hodgson as well, from the 2nd row up to 2nd within 2 corners, so that's some good going from him.
Never bet against Hodgie, he's always there. But it is the 217 of Richard Sharp then. So this is going to be the longest race. He's already covering the inside off. I think that Chris Hodgson's going to get a good run down the straight. But he's going to have to go some, because Sharp, he backs it in for all he's worth. Holds off Hodgson then, the start of lap 2. Smith there in 3rd, 4th place then Blakeman. So Richard Blakeman then, this is his dad John Blakeman's memorial meeting. Who's a larger than life character in the paddock, who's sadly no longer with us. And Richard Blakeman then, a massive crash in qualifying at Crail, left him black and blue and every colour in between, but he's up there in 4th, having a much better run. Storm Stacey back there in 5th. Here comes the run then, Hodgson down the inside, moves Richard Sharp out of the way, so our British champion finds his way to the front. Sharp there in second, Jay Smith third. It's neck and neck. Blakeman and then Storm Stacey. Oh, and a big mistake. So Sharpie lit the back end up there. Jay Smith now up to second. That's going to change the complexity of this race now, because Jay Smith's got a clear track up to the number one.
Yeah, you can see them losing the grip slightly around Luna still with all that dust that's been dragged on from the dirt, but that riding style of Jay there hanging off it, trying to catch up to the number one of Chris Hodgson.
But Hodgie away with this one then. He's got a 5 or 6 bike length lead over Jay Smith on the Humber Garage Racing Honda. Showed him 1.1 over the line. We saw Jay yesterday. He seemed to have the legs of Chris.
Storm Stacey's managed to make his way back up to just behind Richard Blakeman there in 5th. So he'll be looking to make a pass. Looks like he's trying to go up the inside there onto the pit lane.
So Smith then in second. Where's the back? Oh, Stacey round the outside of 2 of them there. He set that pass up 2 corners ago. We could see it out the window. So Stacey then up to third, past his Sharp and Blakeman. Blakeman kept himself in the throttle and showed it. Storm Stacey the outside of the track, but obviously not enough, because the youngster then on the Automotive Solutions Husky has forced his way through to third. So all leg off then from Richard Sharp. So Stacey then up to third. Is he going to have something? He does look a little bit, I'll say out of sorts around here, but his different road race riding style means he's searching for grip in different places. So he comes across the line in third, backs it in on the knee. So what's the gap then at the front? Looks like it's still pretty stable. That's like our live timing has fallen over, at least on our laptops here, but we've got the at the side of the screen. So 1 second then still the difference between Hodgie and Jay Smith at the front, which means that Smith is closing down. Stacey then hanging off the side of that 450 Husqvarna. Oh, we saw him do that in time qualifying and thought that he'd thrown everything away, but still managed to qualify second with all of that. Jay Smith there setting sail after Chris Hodgson. But it is the 79 of Storm Stacey that is the man on the move, currently 2 seconds adrift of Smith, so we'll see if this gap is going to come down at all.
Storm looking a little bit smoother around Luna that time compared to the last lap. Managed to keep his feet on the pegs on that outside leg.
So, yeah, here's the battle at the front then. Danielle Hodgson then already coming under pressure from Jay Smith. And although it's only 3 or 4 bike lengths, Smith will smell the blood in the water. And like I said earlier on, he seemed to have the measure of Chris yesterday a little bit, but I know that Chris only runs, he doesn't run new rubber on a Saturday normally. And we've got the replay then of Storm Stacey, the Bathmate replay of him backing it in absolutely unbelievably on the knee. The kind of stuff we love to see on YouTube, and Storm Stacey's there doing it in the race. Well, that's where Chris went down in qualifying this morning, and he just seemed to get a better run onto the dirt than Jay. Jay's just going a little bit wider to straighten it up, and it looks like it costs him time. Like I say, the gap was a second over the line last time by, so we'll see if the number 33 Humber Garage Racing Honda can do anything to close down the 17-time British champion Chris Hodgson. And here we are again on board with the number 33 of Jay Smith through this long first turn, and then it's a tight left-hander, and then we'll come up the hill. There's a bit of a hole there which you can just see Jay's bike just dropping into. They come across the top of Coward Summit, and the gap does tend to and fro a little bit, but this is past pit lane then, and then we'll back it into this long right hand 180, hard on the gas through the gears, and then again backing it into this really nice left-hander, and then it's a flick through the tyres, easy to clip them with your handlebars, and then the jump up over the tabletop. He went straight on there yesterday, and Jay was flat landing that for all he was worth, wet or dry. And now down the off-road, and you see that all the dust through this section of the track not fully getting clean until they're halfway down the straight here, and it looks like Jay is just not struggling to stay in touch, but he's certainly not closing at the rate that he was a few laps ago.
Jay still has the fastest lap at the moment with a 1:12.5, so we'll see if Chris has managed to up the pace. This section here, it seems like Jay closes just ever so slightly, but again, Storm Stacey looks like he's trying to get in the mix there, trying to close in on the 33 of Jay Smith as they come up over Coward Summit.
It is going to be a three-rider battle before much longer, because Storm Stacey is closing Jay Smith. All three riders there in shot as they come past pit lane. And Smith then just running a little bit away from the apex. If he does that next lap by, Storm Stacey is going to show him a front wheel. Fastest lap of the race so far, though, is the 33 Honda Garage Honda of Jay Smith. Oh, another little bit of a bobble. Our lifetime in then giving us fits today. Oh, the water got in the works yesterday. But Hodgie has got enough of a gap to not have to feel under pressure. It's whether he knows that he's got that little bit of a cushion back to the 33 of Jay Smith, who starts to light the back end up. I say it's a really, really long corner. You ride here for 2 days, you can't walk for a week. So much muscle tension and everything on your leg round that corner. Oh, here's Stacey then right up on the back end of Jay Smith, just not able to get the rear end to light up, but he has gone fastest then.
So Storm now doing a 1:12.2, so the pace has really increased since the start of the race. Definitely the fastest guy
here
on track.
Here we go, Stacey up the inside. Well, we called that last lap, didn't we? We said if he ran wide, Stacey would stick it in there, and that's just what Jay did. Just trying to give himself a little bit more room in the corner, but that was all that Storm Stacey needed. He would have been close enough last lap to have seen that as well, so he will have worked his way through to try and put himself in position. So Smith back to third. So the next question is Storm Stacey going to be able to do anything to close down the number one of Chris Hodgson as they make their way through into Luna? Showing 3 laps to go, so we'll see what that is. We've been a lap shy a couple of times.
Few riders complaining about front end chatter midway through Luna, so wondering if that's either suspension setup or maybe down to the drift cars, maybe rippling that tarmac there.
So we watch a replay then. Storm Stacey fires it up the inside of Jay Smith. Didn't need much room at all. The pass was made. And the Londoner then, after chasing down Chris Hodgson for the first half of this race, finds himself back in third. And Stacey now all over the back of Chris Hodgson. So the answer to the question is he going to have... Oh, he makes a big mistake, runs really wide, a look over his shoulder to see whether Smith is still there, and he's there but not close enough.
Yeah, the 79 Storm Stacey will be looking to make a move on Chris on this next lap. I think he'll be trying that up the inside again like he did on Jay Smith. He's seen it's tried and proven and works, so...
Chris won't leave him. I don't think Chris will leave him a chance, though. Not to say that Jay didn't did something wrong there, but obviously Jay feels that was his line. He just lets the bike run into the corner a little bit. But I think that Chris Hodgson is he'll know that he can't give Storm Stacey even half a chance, because teammate or not, he'll pass him. Like I said, he's here to race and he's here to win, not doing all of the championship rounds. So he's a little bit of a spoiler, but he won't feature in the overall championship because he won't do all of the races. But it doesn't mean to say that he's not here to win as they come down off Coward Summit. And, not able to make it through. Well, last lap on our graphic, but I didn't see a last lap flag last time by, so we'll have to see what happens. But Stacey then all over the back of Hodgie as they make their way into the off-road. Smith then just tailed off a few bike lengths, so there's going to have to be some big pieces for him to pick up. These guys just have a bit of a wobble, but Hodgie gets off the dirt, just with a few bike lengths advantage. Is he going to try and have a run around the outside? No, he's going to go up the inside. He did pass Chris a few times around here yesterday. And let's just have a look. It is going to be, yes, it is going to be a win for Chris Hodgson. Oh, I must have missed Kirk with the last lap flag then. In fact, they did. They flicked and showed a replay. And that's why we missed that one. They showed the replay of the pass. And we did not see them go past the last lap flag. So it is a win then for Chris Hodgson. Second place then, the number 79 Automotive Solutions Husqvarna teammate Storm Stacey. Third place will be Jay Smith.
You can see there a battle between Jack Nation and Ian Bremner on this last lap as they head now around towards Luna. That looks like Andy Mitchell and Dean Hillier in a bit of a battle there, with Alex Mullaney trying to get past Peter Bennett, I think that is.
Well, you told me that Peter Bennett knew that he lost out there, because Alex Mullaney was definitely getting a little bit... yeah, he did. He got ninth. He was definitely getting excited as they crossed the line. So that is our first Supermoto A race then. And so Hodgson then from Storm Stacey. Jay Smith then in third. Fourth place, Richard Sharp. Fifth place then, Richard Blakeman. Sixth, number 7, Jamie Duncan, our current championship leader. And then an excellent 7th from Andy Mitchell. 8th, Peter Bennett. 9th, Dean Hillier. And 10th place, Matthew Lebrun. He's our visitor from Jersey. So Lebrun then making top 10 in his first ever British Championship race. So that's good for him. In fact, we'll just have update our timing on that one. So bear with me a second, because my lap's not... fully updated. We might see that in fact, yes, it did. So Mullaney was 9th, Peter Bennett 10th, Matt Lebrun ended up 11th. But here we are down in pit lane then with our top 3. Jay Smith there with just taking off his helmet. So we'll go down to Danielle in pit lane.
So we're here with Jay Smith. You finished third in that first race of the day. Great riding. You were on pole from qualifying after Superpole. Well done. How did the race go?
Yeah, it was all right. We're on the new bike today, so it's taking a bit of getting used to, but just need to ride faster. That's all it is. Just need to carry more corner speed. So it's new suspension, front and back, new bike, new geometry. So to be honest, to be thereabouts on the pace, I'm really happy.
Yeah, we did see that move up the inside where Storm Stacey just managed to find a bit of a gap. But
right, it's 2 different styles. There's like motocross style, supermoto style, road race style. So it's got they got their own good bits in different sections of the track, really. So I just need to carry more mid-corner speed, that's all. And yeah, there won't be anyone.
Good luck for race 2. So we will try and have a quick chat with Storm Stacey. Didn't quite have enough laps to take the win in that one, but you came from the back. What happened on the start?
I just bottled it. It's not like, maybe I'm giving away my weakness here, but I come into them corners, the first turn 1 with all these boys that are on it and like proper trying to get stuck in, I'm like, I'll leave you to it, I'll try and pick you off towards the end. So that's kind of what I did. If I get a good start in the next race, I'll probably try and stick it out a bit into turn 1, but I just do my thing, I let them do their thing, and just enjoy chasing them down. It gives me a good workout and it makes it hard work. But yeah, good race. If I'd have had more laps, but there's a lot of riders that say that, so I'm not going to say that.
I'll say it for you. If you had more laps, eh? And we'll go to Chris Hodgson. He managed to nearly take the whole shot, but just got by Richard Sharp. So poor qualifying. We did manage to see you took the front sort of on your Superpole lap, but made up for it in the race.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the pace this morning qualifying. I was quite quick, but just a stupid little crash on the Superpole, and luckily for me, I think Jay and Storm clipped each other a little bit and it opened the door for me. But I've seen Ian Bremner making a dive through the middle of everyone as well, and I just thought, just need to clear this carnage as soon as I can and yeah, get to the front.
Yeah, you got out front, led it from start, well, almost start to finish. Storm there was trying to make a bit of a move, didn't really give him any sort of room for error, but yeah, great race.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him aboard the last 2 laps, it was Storm, so just knew that I had to keep it tidy and just try and brake on the places where I thought I could be a little bit quicker than him, and it seemed to work.
Well, good luck for race 2.
Thank you.
So I'll head back to Phil as we get ready for our second block of racing.
Maybe just pull a little gap.
Okay, thank you very much, Danielle, then, down there on circuit. And that will bring us to a conclusion to our first group of races here this beautiful Sunday afternoon as it is now at Three Sisters then. And we've just got a few little bits to get through. And we look at... like I say, we'll get some official results as we lost our live timing, but obviously our first 3 down there confirmed on the grid. So we'll be back a little bit later on. We're probably going to have about an hour or so of a break, I think. Just let's have a quick look on our timings. Group 2. Yeah, according to our timings, then we will be back at 3 o'clock. So we're going to take a break, and we hope that you can join us then for the rest of our live coverage here from the Tripz.uk Supermoto Round 5 from Three Sisters. Past here in sunshine, and hopefully when we come back later on this afternoon, it will still be the same. We will see you all shortly.
Started Supermoto in 2004. Supermoto, I just love the sport. You know, great feeling, just have full control of a bike, just make it do what you want, and yeah, the paddock's so friendly as well, just makes it that much easier to come. I got into it through a KTM Junior Cup, which was sorted out by the ACU. KTM, everyone was on a 200 motocross bike at the time that was converted with road wheels, and done all right in that. I won that. Since 2004, I've managed to get 17 British championships behind my name. I've won an Australian championship. I've competed in America, Asia, Canada. You know, been pretty blessed with Supermoto, to be fair. I've started from the bottom. I worked my way up. You know, I started as a snappy little 16-year-old kid that was just wanting to go fast, and you know, we've got a few of those here now. I've came through the ranks. I've had a lot of help along the way of people. So yeah, it's just time for me to give a bit back, really. When you come on my training days, the structure's normally 3 groups. We accommodate for any type of rider. It appeals to like just such a wide range of rider in terms of skill and speed, and I'm here to accommodate everyone, make everyone feel comfortable, and at the end of the day, just make everyone faster. Racing, it's all in your head, and it's just, you know, telling yourself, go that bit further, brake a bit later, get on the power a bit earlier. There's no difference between, you know, me and another rider. It's just, you know, it's that game of dares. As long as you can conquer that mentally, then you're going to do all right.
back to fourth, because Bunting has found his way through as well. And it's all gone a bit Pete Tong then for the 236 of Dan Spencer. And this is Meelan, like I say, he was the guy that was actually in the lead of the first one, although he almost puts it on the floor there. He was in the lead of the first one when he was ceremoniously skittled out by the 51 of Jason Slater, so he's come from the back of the grid. In fact, I'm not seeing Slater at all, so I can only assume that he's had a problem somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I did see him out for the first couple of laps, but he's showing on our timing screen as of having only completed 3 laps at the moment, so we'll have to keep an eye out.
So
I can see him there.
So I wonder if he's had an off somewhere. So he is still circulating, but no longer on our leaderboard. So Neil Meelan, the 101 here, he was hoping to make his way up to the B group the first time of asking. Oh, and you can see there, look, just a little bit of power, and the bike nearly leapt out from underneath him. And he is being closed down quickly by the number 444 on the Goon Squad rider, Jay Bunting.
That last lap, Jake was the fastest man on track with a 23.0. So he is definitely closing that gap to Neil Meelan.
And you can see he's all over the back of him as they make their way up onto the top of Coward Summit. I think there is a few more spots of liquid sunshine falling on the far side of the track, as the lap times have dropped off a little bit. The race leader then just going out of shot, but Meelan then coming under pressure. And again, this is important because if Bunting finds his way past, he will be the rider going up into our B race for the final group of races later on this afternoon. So Meelan's done the hard work in getting himself to second, and he is closing down on Duncan Wright at a pace. They're just finding their way past Tani Atwood. She had a good day yesterday in the wet. She was having some good battles.
Yeah, I saw her having some good battles with May Chalice as well. Unfortunately, May did, I think she dropped it just heading up to the tabletop. It was incredibly slippy there yesterday.
In fact, I think May had just made the pass on Tani and then just took the front as they made their way up into the off-road. But May not with us riding today. But here they are then, Meelan then horsey-footing his way round. This is possibly the slippiest bit of tarmac in the world. I can't remember. I must have fallen off in Luna because everybody has. But I think I've been more luck than judgment. A couple of laps to go, then Duncan Wright comfortably away at the front.
I think I can confidently say I must have fallen off on every single corner on this track at some point.
I think most people have. But Meelan then still holding on. Bunting trying to get on terms with the 101, but not managing it. And it does look like the track has kind of come back to us a little bit. This is where Meelan made a mistake a few laps ago, and he's definitely upped his pace to the point where they've gapped away from the rest of the field. 6 seconds now, the gap back to Dan Spencer in 4th place, with Spafford, John Oakes and Rick Owen in that mid-pack battle.
Could see there Duncan Wright heading across the dirt. You can see just how big that gap is now between him and Neil Meelan, as Neil gets a little bit sideways across that dirt section.
He did, he lit the rear up good and proper there, but he knows he's under pressure, and like I say, this second position, it's one of the most important ones of the day, because if he doesn't, then if he ends up back in third, it means he's just going to start the final C race of the day from pole position with nowhere else to go other than win it. Whereas getting yourself up to the B's with a chance to make some good extra points. Or move down the inside. Oh, he's run wide. So Meelan then makes a mistake. Just got himself, he just seemed very rear brake happy. And I think he just locked the rear up there, and that was all the invitation that Bunting needed to find his way through. But race leader Duncan Wright then already 6 seconds up the road.
Yeah, these two both now doing 122s, whereas Duncan's sat comfortably at 123.7. So happy to say that he's comfortable with that lead. Doesn't look like Neil's close enough to try and make a pass back on this last lap. See Jake there, nice and tentative round between the tabletop and that second off-road section. Then back with our race leader, the 111 of Duncan Wright, as he goes round Luna. Quick glance over to see if anyone's too close.
No, he'll just won this one out then and take the checkered flag. Well, nobody wanted to win that one, did they? We lost
Andy Hayes. He made his way back up to 10th. So from his crash, you can see him there with the yellow helmet on that Husqvarna, just there in front of the 38 of Dean Smith.
He will be absolutely fuming with himself there, but he'll be good value for money in the last one. He'll want to go home with a win. So we'll expect some fireworks from Andy Hayes in the last C Group race of the day. But you see the last few riders coming across the line. But that was obviously the 252 of Selby Trotter, one of the Bathmate team. Again, Selby been racing a long time.
I had to ask Selby what he had for breakfast yesterday. He was proper on it yesterday.
He did. He had a really good day yesterday. He was, as usual, those older boys know how to ride in the wet, and he certainly got himself up there at the sharp end. There's the number 14 of Gavin Scaife, one of the Automotive Solutions guys. He's, I think he rode Rower, 3 weeks or something after having back surgery. So he's still on the struggle bus a little bit. The last few riders coming across the line. Jason Slater, then he's going to have to go again in this C Group on the Tripz.uk KTM. He's had a bit of a mare, but again, he's coming back from injury, shoulder injury or something. Was it shoulder or wrist at Teesside?
Yeah, he did his shoulder, so he's been having issues with that since last year. He crashed at Rower in the wet. Both me and him were racing, and he high-sided on the ice rink that is Rower in the wet.
So there we see our third place finisher in our second C final then, Neil Meelan, number 101. The 444 of Jake Bunting will get his second place plaque, and he will go up to the B Group. He's happy with that. He will go up to the B Group for his final race of the day later on this afternoon, and also so will our number 1 position, the Duncan Wright there.
It's got all the ones.
All the ones. Number 111 Duncan Wright. Then you've got to say repairing the suspension link on that KTM yesterday afternoon, and he will be up in the B Group race, which is the next one on our agenda. Brought to you by Automotive Solutions, your local specialist for BMW and Mini parts, based up there in York. That's the business belonging to team owner Paul Reynolds, the Automotive Solutions team.
So our race winner for race 1 was the number 42 of Oliver Holmes, followed by the number 8 of Paul Rhodes, who have both made their way up to the A's for the second block of racing. So on pole we'll have the 255 of Kyle Eccleston, the Team Bathmate rider, followed by the 151 of Blaine Pearson, who was making a storm by the end of that last race. He was making up a lot of positions. And then alongside him is the 125 of Dean Wingate of RWJ, and the number 155 of Chris Walker, the Tripz UK team boss.
So we got some decent riders in this B Group. It's like I say, it's hard fought racing all down through the groups. On this B Group, then lots of guys in there who would like to think they're in with a shot of finishing in the first 2 here. There's probably about 10 of them, but obviously it's going to be down to the start. We can see that's still a little bit of water on track there. Paul Reynolds, Craig Forshaw on his Honda. He had I think he had a DNF in one of the races yesterday. It was a subpar day. He was riding okay, but just didn't seem to get the results. 944 Mark Stevens then bringing up the rear. He came through from our B Group with Gareth Baxter. That's through from our C Group with Gareth Baxter. So those guys will take up their position on the back row of the grid. Fantastic stoppie. Who was that?
That was Blaine.
Was that Blaine Pearson?
Blaine
right,
on his KTM.
Yeah. So only rides on a Sunday, and obviously looks after youngster Liam on the Saturday. But again, he's a rider that's always there or thereabouts on the bubble of B Group wins and A Group qualification. Just depends on how things go in qualifying.
Another notable mention of the 817 of Harley Sharp. He had a great ride at Crail, making his way into the A Group. So there was both Richard and Harley racing in that final A race up in Scotland.
Well, that's cool. So here we go then. Wait for the lights to go out and away they go. Kyle Eccleston looking like he gets the jump on everybody else. Is anybody going to try and find their way outside? Chris Walker tries to back it in around the outside. Looks like everybody's safely through. A few spots of rain on the camera. And I think that's from an earlier score. Oh, we've got a bit of a traffic jam in the back there. And a few riders on the floor.
That looks like Paul Reynolds there.
There's 3 riders in there. There's Paul Reynolds, Dean Wingate, and I think that might be Luca Jennings. But that was all a bit... everybody's a bit stuck on top of each other. But race leaders then already down past the end of pit lane. There's a 188 to Seth Gibson, so he's a long way down the pack. And we've got a red flag then on bikes. Looks like that everybody is up on their feet, but the bikes themselves are all. It's Jamie Wrigglesworth, a rider that's in there, so a bit of a delay.
It looks like an RWJ rider.
That's definitely Dean Wingate that's down there as well. As we watch and we're just looking out the comms box window here just to see what's going on. But riders then will make their way back to the grid, and we will hopefully re-rack them for a complete restart. I think that too many bikes there just jammed together, unable to get them apart. No riders injured by the looks of it. I think everybody's going to try and take part in that restart.
While we sort of wait for the track to be cleared, Jamie Wrigglesworth, one of the riders that went down in that, but it was actually quite good to see the getting to know you segment on Instagram with Jamie when asked to describe how Supermoto made him feel in 3 words. I think he got to over 50.
Look, there's no point in any discussion that I'm going to say anything about people who talk too much, because the irony there is going to be too much. But great guy, Jamie. I'm not really. I really known him for the last couple of seasons. Fairly new to the sport, but part of the Bathmate setup. But a really friendly guy, and a good rider. He's had some good races. He was at the front of the B group yesterday, and he definitely knows how to open the throttle and a character to boot. But he's here with his grandkids and all sorts. Proper family affair. Let's say they were just getting the track straightened out and waiting for the restart. I don't think we'll get a warm-up lap. We will be just making sure that there's a bit of fuel spillage. I think that they're just going to mop up, and then we will be underway again. So just a short delay, but definitely the right thing to do. There was no way that they were. I think they got handlebars caught in wheels and stuff like that. But just well, we've got a chance to mention them for their work all weekend in the inclement weather that we had yesterday. A big thank you to all the marshals and officials here, all of the local people that come and support this track at Three Sisters to make these events run for us. I know a lot of the marshals are all local to this circuit, and they know the place like the back of the hand, and they're here rain or shine, and as a result we can get to run our meetings here. So a big thanks to them. It was an awful day here yesterday, and we are going to get another warm-up lap by the look of it. No, we're not. We're going to be straight away, and away we go. So let's see who is going to get the hold shot this time. And it is going to be Eccleston again. Walk around the outside. This is the only thing with this track on the first lap. It all gets a little bit... I was just to try and get around the outside and make up some places here. But it is Eccleston from, it looks like it's either Walker or Groom. Both of the Tripz boys are there. And the rest of the field stream out of this off-road section down Coward Summit. It is the 255 KTM Bathmate supported rider of Kyle Eccleston from the 155 Tripz.uk KTM of Chris Walker. The rest of the riders going through 82 there. James Wood. That's 666 of Darrell Pennington. I'm not expecting to see him as deep in this B group field as he is, but like I say, it's a tough crowd, this B group one, Danielle. Yeah,
like you said before, at least 10 of these riders could definitely either win or be second in this race. Like, all of them, well, nearly all, I'd say, have seen an A race. So to see a field of almost A riders, it's definitely going to be a tough race to try and get into them crucial first 2 positions.
So race leader then Kyle Eccleston out of Luna for the first time. Chris Walker there in second. We'll see who goes across the line in 3rd position. Looks like it is, might be the 151 of Blaine Pearson. It is, so Blaine there in 3rd. 4th place, the 138, Tripz.UK KTM off Paul Groom. This is the battle at the front. Harley Sharp in there, that's Wingate with the coloured wheels. But Walker then all over the back. Kyle Eccleston, we've seen Kyle, he's had some good rides this year. New bike underneath him, I think at round 3. And he's just took him a little while to get used to it, and we've seen him on the bubble more than once. In fact, I think he went down at our first visit to Three Sisters this year with teammate James Wood on the off-road section while they were both in qualifying positions. So good to see that a lot of these guys got a second chance with the restart. But Eccleston then just a few bike lengths away at the front. The back end of that KTM lit up. Blaine Pearson will know that he's got to find a way past one of these 2 guys in this second B final. I don't think there's any more moisture. That's just rain from earlier on. Oh, Walker just lit the back end up on the way into that turn, and Blaine Pearson is right there. Walker makes a mistake. Is Pearson going to get a run up the outside? Not quite. Groom's still there.
You can see the 817 trying to get by the 138 of Paul Groom there, just behind this top 3.
So Eccleston then into the pit turn, and we have got to pass the seconds. It looks like Pearson managed to find his way through just as we panned to the wide shot, and indeed he did. So all of a sudden Blaine Pearson passed Walker and onto the back of Kyle Eccleston.
It looked like Blaine did put a bit of a hand up as well from what I could see out the window, so possibly a little bit of an argy-bargy pass, but...
It's Chris Walker. He knows how to race. He'll have no problem with that. He's been doing this a long time. He'll do 1 or 2 things here. He'll either give it back with interest and try and make that pass back on Blaine, but he won't have any moans. He's certainly been around long enough. I'm just talking to him again earlier this morning. Steps away from the sport for about 7 or 8 years. Just said he just had to concentrate on work. His work blew up, and he needed to be there. He hadn't got the time to race at the level that he wanted to. But really enjoying it now, and obviously setting up. Got a nice little team there, and one of the backers of this championship, the title sponsor, with his Tripz.UK motorhome rental company. So visit their website for all of your motorhome needs. Got some great units, a few of them here in the paddock this weekend. So that looks like, I think that will be the pass that Blaine would have put on Chris last time. In fact, Blaine goes down the inside. Oh, Eccleston chops across the front of him. That was all fair in love and war there. Blaine just backed out of it a little bit, and he's now going to try and find his way. There's no way that he's going to make that pass, but he's just monstering the 255 pathmate KTM rider, letting him know he's there at every opportunity. And meantime, Walker is also there. Oh, Eccleston makes a bit of a mistake. They're into the off-road, so it's a 6-wheeler, then 3-rider battle at the front. So they make their way off-road onto the Rogerson Straight. Eccleston's got a little bit of breathing space again. But Pearson looks really quick round here, and also quick up the off-road section. Who's your money on?
I think it might be Blaine. I think he's going to dive for the inside again. I think he'll do it when he's coming over the mountain for that first corner for the pit lane. I think that's where he's going to try to put the move on Kyle. On the brakes there. He
was fast down there last time. I just don't think he was quite close enough. And of course, the other thing, if you get too close in this corner, you're not able to get on the gas, and you end up kind of coming out of it, the corner a little bit in instalments. So this is where we're expecting Pearson to try and make a move down the hill.
He's trying.
Oh, he's there, but he's not there enough. And Eccleston drops it over the front, and that puts him back into the clutches of Chris Walker.
Yeah, Kyle knew he was there and closed the door on him. Kept that really tight into that inside line on that corner.
He's going to throw it around the outside again, because I know that... Oh, what a pass. Eccleston covered the inside, and Pearson just rode around the outside. 2 feet off the footrest. I think there's a damp spot there on the exit of that turn, but that was a fantastic pass by Pearson.
My overtake of the day, that one. That was a cracking pass by Blaine Pearson.
Pass of the day. And we've got a few more spots of rain on our camera lenses. But Pearson then, Eccleston went defensive. And having said that, Pearson had already showed his hand around the outside there a couple of times. And well, they're starting to, it looks like it might be raining just a little bit, because they all suddenly look like they're not going quite as fast. A hand from Eccleston. So have we got rain? There's certainly nothing on the windows here, although obviously it could be raining on the back of the building. We've definitely got a few spots of rain on the camera.
Just having a nosy out the window, I can see the A riders getting ready in the pit lane, and a lot of them are taking cover under the pit lane shelter.
So Walker just managed to throw it up the inside of Kyle Eccleston as they went across Coward Summit, just slightly out of shot. He did indeed. So Walker up to second. Here's the replay of that pass. Absolutely fantastic round the outside. It is only mental rain. I don't think it's coming down enough to cause the race to be stopped. Looking out of the window as we are. I'm just catching a few riders out, and Eccleston then just lights the back end up again. And it looks like he's not in love with these conditions. So Pearson then going to come under pressure from Walker, and of course the thing is now with the rain, it is actually just looking on the window. We are getting a few spits of spots of rain on the window as that starts to come down. If either of these riders do put it out into the scenery, and here goes Walker around the outside, so he will be able to ride around the outside of Pearson here, because I can tell you from experience there's far more grip around the outside than there is around the inside. And Walker making the pass as I look over the shoulder at Blaine Pearson. You can see the rain on that camera lens, so it is blowing down the track in that direction.
I think it's going to be a race stoppage.
It is, I can see a red flag. So that one will be a race result stopped in the interest of safety. All of these guys out there on dry weather tyres. And we just needed a couple of minutes just to see what the weather did. Because we've seen these earlier on where they've just blown through literally in 5 or 6 minutes, and we've not had too much rain at all. But almost certainly then that one will be called a result. And we will just wait for confirmation from race control that we're not going to restart that one. I would expect that we would not do that, and we will just wait and see. Just go into a holding pattern for a couple of minutes to see what the weather's going to do. And we may well be in a situation where it is indeed going to be a podium then for our B group riders. The rain just looking... There is a puddle down there in the middle of pit lane that has got a few spots going into it then, Danielle, so we're just going to wait a couple of minutes and see what happens.
Yeah, it doesn't look like any of the A riders currently waiting in the holding area are making any changes just yet. So I think they'll be holding out for slick.
Red flag then, and a 2/3 distance race for the B group on the 151 there of Blaine Pearson then. Is that a Husky or a KTM? It looks like a Husky to me.
KTM.
It's a KTM. Oh. They're all the same, just a different wrapping, isn't it? But so Pearson then, would be interesting to see how that one comes off, because obviously with that one being red flagged, Walker came across the line in the lead. If they take that back a lap, then I think that means that Pearson may well be credited with the win, although in these circumstances doesn't really matter. Because of the fact that the front two will go up. Although, at the risk of being controversial, I will say that obviously Chris Walker is blowing out of his you-know-what. I can't even put his own bike.
He was struggling there, bless him.
So we will have to wait and see whether this gets taken back a lap, because if that's the case, we may see that Eccleston might actually get a chance to go up into the A's, but we will wait and see. That is just my unofficial result. But there it is. Chris Walker then the race victor with the number 1 plate, the Tripz.UK team owner. He's taken victory. Second place then 151 of Blaine Pearson on the KTM, and third place the Bathmate KTM of Kyle Eccleston. So that is your B group result for race 2. Looking out the window, we've still got a few spots of rain, but the sun is out. So whether we're going to start this one in as wet or dry remains to be seen. But what we do have is a few minutes delay just to make that decision. It'll either blow itself out or it'll start to rain, and we will give these guys chance to take fresh tyres, put some wets in. Obviously a few guys have the luxury of a wet weather bike as well, although to be honest I always found that two bikes, you never got the right thing. Do you put the wets in the dry bike, or do you put a slick in the rear of the wet bike, or whatever? So we'll wait and see. But the sun is out. I can't see what the I can't see what's happening out the back end of the comms box there.
That looks like Team Boss of HGR there putting the warmers back on Jay Smith's bike. So, but that definitely had a slick on. So
Steve Ellis then, yeah, we're just going to try and keep everything dry. And Bremner walking by in the background then. But there it is, the Undercarriage Racing Honda of Jay Smith.
Yeah, interesting when he was saying he's on the new bike again. He was definitely running his old bike last year, but since Crail, I think he's been on the new bike. Got a good setup with it.
Yeah, we did a bit of a chat over in the lunch break, and Jay saying that he is using now the Sunday races, these British Championship races, as more of a test session. He still wants to win races, but obviously he's had a few mares. He had a crash at Rowra, which saw him ruled out, unable to continue. So I will say that looking at look at Richard Blakeman there with the T-bar in hand, changing that front tyre on that fat and fast. Is it a KTM or a Husky? Come on.
KTM.
It's a KTM, right. Okay, so changing the front wheel there. He's going with a wet. So it's been declared a wet race. So that means that whatever happens, they're not going to stop it. Which means that the safe option is a wet front and a slick rear. And it just depends how much wet we've got. Do you want to go and have a look out the window?
Oh, I might do.
Go and have a look out the window
Hold
and
on.
see what's going on. And as we see Kyle Eccleston just riding off in the background then. So it'll be a bit of frantic wheel changing or not. There seems to be... it is going to be declared a wet race, so that means that they're not going to stop it. And unfortunately, it does look like it has stopped raining. There is a little bit of a puddle in the pit lane, which I'm using as my rain barometer. And as we look in the background, the 33 of Jay Smith, a spare bike then being brought to pit lane by Team Boss Steve Ellis. Now looking at this setup here, you will see this is a bit of a weird thing going on. On the front of the 55 bike of Jack Nation, they have a wheel set up there where the disc actually fits in slots and stays in the caliper, and they can slot the wheel in the front there and leave the disc where it is. It's one of those things that you have to try and explain it too much. There is the 64 of Matt LeBrun and the 34 of Ian Bremner. Now I am going to be the ultimate skeptic for a change, obviously, for those of you that know me, and there'll be somebody down there who will be sitting in pit lane and they're just looking at the weather and they're going, you know what, I'm going to leave these slicks in, because at the moment the track is not getting wet enough. I shall stand up and have a look. Jamie Duncan then just walking past the bottom of the comms box here. Obviously I appreciate that you watching on the live stream are seeing pit lane footage, but I'm just stood up there in the comms box, and Jamie Duncan then a shake of the head. He's not sure what he's going to go with. Jay Smith down there, they've got the wet bike down there in pit lane, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of bikes not down there. Can't see any of the Bathmate team. Oliver Holmes there off to the side. I can see Mark Jackson down there, one of the Bathmate crew. He's down there with a set of tyre warmers and a stand, but currently no bike. So all in a bit of a holding pattern here. Not had any official word from race control as to how long the delay is, but normally it is 10 minutes to give these guys chance to change tyres. And again, there'll be somebody clever down there who also has a slick in a tyre warmer, and it'll look like they're going to put a wet in the back and we'll put a slick in. This is going to be a tough call. It's not raining now and there's not enough water falling. I've sent Danielle down onto pit lane, so we've got 6 minutes. Been shown by our pit lane controller Robin Brown. He's the guy that calls all of these guys up. So we will be going to the line in 6 minutes' time. So if you're not down here in the holding area knowing what you're doing, you're going to miss your race. And obviously if you're not out there for the sight lap, you will stop from the back of the grid. As we're, again, as that we're looking at. That is the Automotive Solutions. That's Alex Mullaney's crew there, working on that Husky. Now he sat out yesterday due to injury. Like I say, a training accident, and the youngster not really feeling the love for it. Yesterday decided to not batter his body anymore and save himself for today. And that's definitely a wet front that's gone in the front of that bike. But it is currently not raining, so anybody's guess. But I think that this could be a really good chance for somebody to have a punt from the back end of the grid. I've seen Peter Bennett down there with a slick in the rear, but that's probably more down to the fact that he's just not had a chance to change it. Dean Wingate there looking a bit pensive as well. Matt LeBrun then, he's down there, but chats then between Hodgson and Mullaney. Hodgie then probably just explaining to him where he needs to go and what he needs to do on this this damp circuit. There's a slick going out as well, so yeah, our I'll say 17 times champion Chris Hodgson. I'll say that's his dad in the bag, and that's his granddad. Oh, he's got the full crew here today, and his dad's here. His grandparents are here as well, as they often do. Come to these meetings. So lots of shenanigans in the pit lane, but this is, I will say, a safety thing as much as anything else. You've either got to let it rain or not. But British Supermoto A then brought to you by Sheens. So Danielle is down there in pit lane with a microphone, so it looks like we're going to try and go live to her and find out what's going on, as everybody is rushing to get ready. Looks like Blakeman then is changing wheels again. So it is all a little bit hit and miss, but like I say, we do see this in other forms of motorsport, where MotoGP, they have a flag-to-flag race, 2 minutes then, 2 minute warning being given, so these guys have got to get the fingers out, get ready, helmets need to go on, wheels need to come out. It's I would imagine it's been declared a wet race, but I'll have to wait and see if somebody from down pit lane can give me a thumbs up or not on whether our race director Dave Dearden has declared it a wet race or not, and we will have to see. But it is going to be a bit of a lottery, and there's not really a lot that we can do at this point to speed things up. Like I say, we either need it to rain or not, and it was a good call to stop the B group race, absolutely, and it was a good call to give the delay for this. But the longer we sit here, the more chance we've got that it's going to rain again. So I think we're going to have a couple of minutes and pit lane will open, and you're on what you're on, guys.
We've seen Richie just do a fast wheel change from a wet front, well, slick front to wet front, back to a slick. Ollie's here, so Ollie's come up from the B's. Ollie, what are we on?
We've gone for slicks. I don't know if it's the best option, but we've gone for slicks, so we'll see what happens.
Well, you're starting from the back after the B's, so you can only go forwards. Think of it that way.
Can't get any worse, can it?
Good luck. Sharpie, looks like, is it a wet front slick rear?
Yes, we'll gamble with a slick, even though it's a wet race.
Yeah, keeping an eye out on the clouds. It doesn't look too bad right now, so they're all getting ready to go out. See there, it looks like Alex Mullaney, wet front, slick rear. Dean Hillier, Michelin wet front, Dunlop wet rear. Andy Mitchell's on full wets. Richard Blakeman full slicks. Jack Nation full slicks. So I think it's going to be a lottery, really. There's that much of a mix in the field. Yeah, there's Andy on his Bathnate KTM full wets. So just going back, we've got one of the Jersey boys here. He's out. I think that's Matthew LeBrun. He's out there now, full slicks. Last few remaining. It looks like Jay's just sat waiting it out. He's got his wet bike down here as well in the paddock. So yeah, LeBrun's gone for full slicks. Brand new rear Michelin.
Guys, on the grid, please.
So you can see it's really a team effort getting everyone out there. CJ's there really leaving it to the last second to decide to go out on that dry bike. So I'll hand it over back to Phil. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was all very frantic. Great work from Danielle down there in pit lane. So I'm not sure, but some of these boys are going to have to start from the back of the grid because they weren't out on track fast enough. We'll have to wait and see what happens with those. So we've got, obviously Danielle went she went through everything. Richard Sharp got a wet front. I did see Jamie Duncan was full slicks. I did say somebody was going to sit this out. Also, Oliver Holmes on full slicks as well. So this is going to be entertaining. Of course, it's a wet race. They're not going to stop it. So for the guys that are out there on full slick tyres, that's on them now. The guys that are out there on full wets, then obviously they are going to be ready to rock. Dean Hillier, Jay Smith, and who's the last rider through was Matthew LeBrun. Then it was frantic down there in pit lane, Danielle.
Yeah, everyone sort of choosing different things. Matthew LeBrun full slicks, Jay full slicks. We've also got Andy Mitchell out there full wets, Dean Hillier out there in full wets, and a mix of in between. So
yeah, it's obviously there's a few guys in there who changed and changed back. What I will say is I didn't see Jamie Duncan do anything. He just sat there with slicks on tyre warmers.
Yeah, I know Jamie, he doesn't like having a mixture of tyres on. He'll either be full slicks or full wets, and looking at it out there, I'd have said full slicks.
Yeah, well, he's definitely out there on full slicks, and obviously Duncan, one of the few people that has the luxury of a spare bike that could have been down there in pit lane on full wets, but I just don't think that either way, full slicks or full wets, was you want one or the other. I still think that there's a chance that we might see a little bit of precipitation in this one, but if we do, it is going to be of no consequence because they're going to run the race for its full distance, and unless we have an absolute monsoon, in which case even the guys on wets are in danger. So we look then to the lights then. Away they go. Let's see who's got the whole shot. It's definitely not going to be Storm Stacey. It's Jay Smith. So Jay Smith comes round from the outside. Now I'm expecting, I don't know whether they changed the wheels and he got a wet front in that 33 Humber Garage Racing Honda, but he takes the whole shot then from Chris Hodgson. Storm Stacey there in third. Jamie Duncan there in fifth behind the 217 Bathmate Husqvarna of Richard Sharp. Did see a problem for Ian Bremner at the back end of the field as well, but they come past pit lane for the first time then, so it is going to become apparent fairly quickly who's on what in this one. We'll watch for Matt LeBrun. I know he's out there on full slicks as we look at the number 55 of Jack Nation with the Jersey rider LeBrun closing in, but here it is then. Smith from Hodgson, Storm Stacey, and already Jamie Duncan past the number 217 of Richard Sharp. Oh, we've got to ride it down. Somebody scooting across the track, and that is LeBrun. So LeBrun gone down I would imagine the guys that have gone out on slicks last minute, they're going to be cold. And there's Jay. He has had a big moment there on the way in. Danielle, you almost went down.
Storm Stacey looks like he's come out of absolutely nowhere then, up to third.
He is on wets though. Stacey just rocked up on wets, and it is what it is. Still quite a bit of rain on the camera lens there at the turn 1, but that's down more to the fact that the rain is blowing that way. And it is starting to rain. It is starting to rain just a little bit. So this is where the gambles are then, because it is starting to rain in pit lane. As you can see, the rain on the camera lens of the number 33 of Jay Smith. So both him and Hodgson on full slicks. Duncan also on full slicks. Storm Stacey on wets as they make their way through. At the minute it's just a little bit of mental rain, spitting and spotting, but it won't take long for it to get worse, and there'll be a few guys who'll be thinking, I'm just going to wait for it to pour down. But here we are. Jay Smith then, this is the bit that's going to catch him out through the flick-flack onto the Rogerson straight, down into Luna, and this bit here, this transition from this left to this right, this is the slippiest bit of tarmac in the world. And Storm Stacey rides around the outside, or does he? No, he doesn't. Hodges going to push him out. Oh, it's tight. Stacey's leaning on him, and here they come.
You could see the back tyre of Chris Hodgson there moving the entire way around.
And here's Storm Stacey around the outside. Jay Smith's gone straight on, pushed him out, and Hodgie leads. You could tell it was raining because Jay Smith was pulling roll-offs going down the straight, so there is some moisture. My sight puddle is still spotting, so it's definitely raining. It's not much at all, but it's enough. So Hodgson leads down off Coward Summit then. Full slicks for the 17-time British champion from up there in Cumbria. Smith there in second, Stacey in third, Jamie Duncan fourth, Sharpie fifth, and then the 54 of Richard Blakeman. Oh, Jay Smith made a move down the inside there of Storm Stacey. Oh, Jay's gone straight on. He locked the rear end up. Did he manage to stay on?
He's now back behind Richard Blakeman, so that puts him in 5th position. Just
as it went out of shot there, Jay Smith just got the rear end of that Humber Garage Honda locked up, whether he stalled it as he landed off the jump. And he went straight on, and here comes Stacey up the inside of Chris Hodgson. Like I say, it looks like Stacey saying, well, it's raining, what are you going to do? And unless he was pulling I'm not sure he was pulling the tear off, not he was kind of looking away to one side a little bit. But we'll see yet what it is. But he can ride in these conditions, and he's the guy that's on wet, so he's going to motor away at the front. And all we need to see now is whether Jay Smith, who's gone back to 6, has got any way to fight his way back to the front in these changing conditions. But it's well, it's now not raining anymore.
Worth mentioning that the fastest lap is currently held by number 7 of Jamie Duncan, who again is on full slicks.
Yeah, JD then trying to make a run to the front of the pack with his full slick gamble. But currently Chris Hodgson, you can see him there in the background. A 4-rider battle in the background, but it's this one at the front that we're concentrating on between the two Automotive Solutions Husqvarna teammates of Storm Stacey, a youngster in the British Superbike Championship. Such a great guy and such a talented guy on a bike. Started off on an 85 in the Academy classes.
Yeah, he was out racing with Nora Sport quite a few years ago, back on a 150, an 85, a 250. So he definitely agrees that it does set you up.
And he's one of the stars of British Superbikes these days. Oh, the pass! Hodgie makes the pass. So we find that in the dry that you're not able to get the bike stopped as easy on the wet tyre. So while you've got kind of more grip on the damp parts, you haven't got the braking force. And Hodgie finds his way back to the front then. And obviously Storm's going to have to work pretty hard. And it looks like Richard Blakeman's found his way up to 4th as well. So Blakeman managed to find his way past You said to me that he had a wet front in and then it came out again. So what do you think he ended up on?
Yep, so Richards again, he's back on full slicks. He did a quick change to a wet and then back to the slicks. So I think it shows just how changeable the conditions are, especially just this weekend, because it was just as bad yesterday.
But it's not raining as we speak. We've had a couple of riders pit and put slicks in rather than ride round and destroy a set of wets. I saw two of the Paul Rhodes, I think, and Dean Wingate had been in the pits. But Hodgson then starting to gap away at the front.
Fastest man on track at the minute is now Chris Hodgson. He's just on a 1:15.4. So track conditions are definitely improving for the start of this race.
Seems like all we've done this weekend is talk about the weather, and the comedy of it is the only thing that people are talking about is the fact that it's such a heat wave. But we've had rain and I think we had a little bit of hail at one point as well. It got a bit cold, but Hodgie then just giving that riding that line that Jay Smith rode. Here we go, back on board with Jay Smith, looking at the back of Richard Blakeman, trying to make a move. Oh, this is tight stuff. Blakeman's made the pass there around the outside. So Blakeman makes the pass round the outside of Richard Sharp and takes the Londoner with him. So Blakeman closed down Richard Sharp there really, really well, and Jay Smith followed him through. So all of a sudden, that's going to change the shape of this race a little bit. So whether Blakeman can start to gap away at the front. Not many people put a pass on Richard Sharp this year, and spoke to Richard earlier on this race weekend, the John Blakeman Memorial. His dad 7 years ago and passed away, and a big part of the sport that's sadly missed. And Richard, a credit to him, rides his racing and lives his life in a way that his dad would be proud. And he's made a massive move there on Richard Sharp. So Blakeman up to third, and we'll see if he's got anything for Storm Stacey, because he is closing in, and Stacey being on wets and Blakeman being on slicks. Only 4 laps of this one to go, so maybe a little shorter time. Not too much of a disaster for Jay Smith, as we said. He's already, I won't say he's out of this championship, but he's certainly not going to find himself in a position to win it.
Jamie Duncan looks like he's made his way past the 217 of Richard Sharp there, so I'm wondering if he copied that move of Richard Blakeman going into that corner in the valleys.
But I think you said that Richard's on a wet front and a slick rear, so that gamble then not paying off, as Chris Hodgson has a wobble on the way round Luna. Jay Smith closing in on the back of Richard Blakeman. So that's it, your top 4 all in shot at the same time. Jay fighting his way back.
Richard's really closing in now on Storm Stacey. So Storm's fastest lap about a second slower than Chris Hodgson's and about 2 seconds slower than Jay Smith's. So then wet's really not working for him.
So here we go then. Smith tries to come down the inside. Oh, that was a move. Jay tried to poke it down the inside of Blakeman. Well, I'd love to have seen that from the onboard. That would have been absolutely epic. But here we are then, on board with Jay Smith on the Humber Garage Racing Honda. We look at the back end of the 54 of Richard Blakeman, right on the back. They're all over Storm Stacey now, through that little bit of a damp patch, down through the off-road, and it really is, back end swapping sides there for Blakeman. Jay's going to have a look down the outside maybe. And here they are as they come in. Still the knee down style of Stacey, just starting to eke away, but he's on wet tyres and they've got to be going away. You can see the rear end all over the place. Here comes Jay down the inside of Blakeman. Oh, it's tight stuff. Oh, that was a move.
Yep, Jay's definitely got the elbows out for that third position.
I think he wanted to. He knows that he needs to get past Storm Stacey. He wants the overall win this weekend. There's still pride in this, and this is where Jay should have. He should be able to nail down the inside of Storm Stacey here on the brakes, and he does. So full slicks then for Jay Smith. He makes the pass back up to second position.
Looks like Richard's trying to follow him through.
No room at the end now on the inside there for Richard Blakeman on Storm Stacey, but Stacey will just be there and laughing his way around this one as we see the pass then on the inside. Jay committing early, and in fairness, he wasn't quite there. Richard gave him room. That was one of them that could have gone either way, but Richard Blakeman just giving Jay Smith Racing room.
Then back with our race leader, so the number 1 of Chris Hodgson. Currently doing a 1:14.6, settling into that on them full slicks. Should be no sort of damp patches now. The last lap flags out, so it looks like Jay's made his way past Storm Stacey round Luna. Jay not quite close enough to Hodgson to be able to make a move on this last lap, but making his way up from 3rd to 2nd will be great points for his championship fight.
Yeah, so Jay then checked out. I think for me now it's whether Richard Blakeman can find his way by as well, and he's not close enough. And Jay Smith then, his final lap on the Humber Garage Racing Honda track now fully dry, and those guys that kept the powder dry, and I will say that I'm a little bit surprised that Jamie Duncan hasn't managed to find his way to the front, but he's not that far behind. Look, there he is. You just had to wait to the track for the track to come to him, and he is closing down on Richard Blakeman. And Duncan was the guy that kind of sat there and made his choices early, but here he is then, final time into Luna. Chris Hodgson, you can't believe that how steady you've got to go round. The camera does make it look a little bit slow. Hodgie has a look over the shoulder, but he sees Jay Smith. He's far enough back for him not to have to worry too much, and he holds on to take the win. Storm Stacey then finishes in 3rd position, 4th across the line, the 54 of Richard Blakeman. 5th place, Jamie Duncan. 6th place should be Richard Sharp, as we watch the last few guys coming in. That is actually Peter Bennett, and I'm pretty sure that he came in and went for slicks. So Duncan across the line, and we wait for the next few riders to update. Another excellent ride in a 7th place for Jack Nation. Ian Bremner through to 8th. Now Bremner was almost dead last as they in fact Bremner got Nation on the line, so Bremner up to 7th. He was almost dead last at the start of that one. We gave him no airtime because obviously we didn't see him on camera, but he's motored his way through to 7th to pit Jack Nation for 8th on the line. 9th place Dean Hillier, and despite the fall early on in that one, Matt Lebrun in 10th, Andy Mitchell 11th, Alex Mullaney 12th, Ollie Holmes 13th, Peter Bennett 14th, and Paul Rhodes 15th. So we just wait then for our podiums. Wait for our podium celebrations to take place then. So Danielle down there in pit lane, hopefully with our top 3 as they make their way into pit lane. We'll just let them get sorted out, and we will go live down there to pit lane. But that was an excellent race. And so I'll hand you down to Danielle in pit lane.
We'll just wait for the super lights to go out. Last few coming through. So we've got Jay Smith just turned back up, and we'll go to Storm Stacey. So Storm came down to the holding area with full wets on. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the state of Storm's back tyre, but yeah, I think that might have been a dry race.
Well, it was declared a wet race and it started raining midway through. I think I still made the right choice. I think these two are just delusional.
Delusional. Strong words, Storm, strong words. I've been shouted at enough times for ruining back tyres on wets when it's dry to know that I'd have put slicks on, but I probably wouldn't have been going as fast.
Yeah, no, I knew I could make the wet work as good as they could. I knew I'd end up overeating it, and which I did quite a lot because I had a few drifts around this corner. But yeah, when it started to rain a bit, I only had as much grip as they did with the slicks, to be fair, because when it's greasy, no tyre works. So yeah, I probably should have been on slicks, but oh well, still on the podium, still used me skills a bit, so it's all good training.
Yeah, you still managed to hold on for a third, so Richard Blakeman and Jamie were trying to catch you up there for that last podium position spot. But we will go to Jay, who, again, he went out on full slicks. You had the wet bike down here, though, so it was a bit touch and go for a second.
I did. It was really, that's the most strangest race I've ever done. It was like, we went out at the start and I thought, oh, that was a good decision, Jay. Well done. And then all of a sudden it rained and then storm come past. I knew I should have picked the wet bike. And God, didn't hear nothing. And then all of a sudden it was like, bang, it dried up again. It was like the craziest conditions ever. But it was definitely the right choice to run the slicks, even though it had that little dodgy patch in the middle. I made a little bit of a mistake because I knew I had the pace to catch. But I managed to get through all the guys, so it was good. Yeah, brilliant.
You did have the fastest lap for quite a while as well, so we knew that the slicks were definitely working. Yeah. But yeah, well done.
Thank you very much. It was just, as soon as I'm not a great, when there's a little bit of moisture on the track, I just switch off. But yeah, but all of a sudden it just dried up, so it's fantastic.
Well, good luck for race 3.
Thank you.
And then race winner, Chris Hodgson, again, full slicks. You were telling Alex what to do as well just before you went out.
Yeah, I mean, we went out there and Storm was pointing at all the little wet patches as we were doing our warm-up lap, and I think, no way, he's actually made the right choice. He started to proper rain at the start of the race, but as soon as it dried up, Storm just struggled a little bit on the faster corners, and that was it really, and managed to get a little gap, and then it just took it easy.
So Storm's mind games didn't quite work this time.
No, I mean, when it was wet, he was shouting behind us, get out my way, it's raining, but yeah, it didn't quite work.
So yeah, full slicks were definitely the right choice for that race, so well done and good luck for race 3.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'll throw it back to Phil, back up in the comms box.
Okay, thank you very much, Danielle. So that's the second set of races then done. We're just going to cut away for a bit of a break, and we'll be back in about 25 minutes time, and we will carry on with the final group of races here at Three Sisters this weekend for round 5 of the Tripz.UK British Supermoto Championship. We will see you all shortly. next to each other. You can't believe that was actually a car back in the day, but they are tiny.
You can't believe they call the new one an actual Mini. It's that big.
I did hear talk that the wheelbase is the same as a Land Rover Discovery, but anyway, we'll move quickly on and back to the race that is sitting there on the grid.
So on pole we have the 255 Bathmate rider of Kyle Eccleston, followed by the 125 Dean Wingate and 138 of Paul Groom, and then the 10 of Paul Reynolds.
So we did see quite a few of these guys on the floor in the first or in the second turn of the second one of these. And Kyle Eccleston, again, I won't say kid can't catch a break, but if it hadn't been for that downpour, we had a little bit of a smattering of rain at the few laps in that second race, and where he was clearly at the front, and then all of a sudden he got mugged off by Chris Walker and Blaine Pearson. We wait for the lights to change, and away they go, and it is a great launch from Eccleston, and he looks like he's going to lead into turn one, unless there's somebody else from the outside who's got something to say. Just make sure they get through, and he does indeed. He's just going to run a little bit wide, give everybody some room, not get cannoned from the rear. Everybody safely through turn one and turn two of this final B group race of the day. Mark Stevens then, he's again, he came up from the seas earlier on today, but it is Eccleston that leads then around the turn into the pit lane from Wingate, from the number 10 of Paul Reynolds on the Automotive Solutions Husqvarna. Then it's the 138 KTM of Paul Groom in fourth, and it looks like Pennington fifth as we look at the 78 of Kyle Bennett there. So he's the middle one of the Bennetts. Dad Peter will be out in the A final, and obviously we saw Jackson earlier on in the Academy Cup.
Looks like Kyle ran a bit wide there. Oh,
and we've got
possibly a front brake issue.
Now I know that they were having issues with that in the paddock earlier on, and I did see them mechanicking it quite vociferously. So whatever issue that they've got with that, and I would say that they've just not got enough. For some reason, maybe the disc that they've got on their wet wheel is not the same as the one that they've got on the dry wheel, and it's not freeing it off and giving it enough room with the pads pushed back, and that brake is binding on. So that's him out of it. So Eccleston led across the line then, and 1.4 the gap, so he's already started to check out at the front. But
you can see there, that is the number 56 of Luke Hutchinson coming off the off-road there on his KTM 350. One of our novice riders has really progressed since the start of this season.
He was decent yesterday, and not too bad today as well. They're on a 350, it's a full-size bike, but 100cc less than these boys are on. But he is, again, he is only a youngster, and he don't weigh much, so he's not at as much of a disadvantage. And this is one of the things we used to see, and probably still do see a little bit, that the smaller riders can rip on 250s and 350s, but the extra power of a 450 with no weight to go with it makes it a lot harder to ride than the 350, and they sometimes struggle. Having said that, Harley Sharp has made a decent effort at being a light guy on a 450, and has taken to that like a duck to water after not really shining as much on the small bike. He's got on the 450 and gone proper fast with that. And he is the teammate to our current race leader, Kyle Eccleston, who's still showing a reasonable gap at the front, still 1.4, as we look at Paul Groom trying to put a pass on the number 10 Automotive Solutions Husky of Paul Reynolds.
It looked like Paul Reynolds just got up the inside of him going into that first corner, so that knee-down style, he managed to just dive up the inside. As we watch them come down over Coward Summit and into the pit lane straight.
Darryl Pennington there, also holding a watching brief. Sun is out, track is dry.
It looks like a lot of these are still on full wets though. Surprisingly, I thought a lot would have gone for slicks. Yeah. After watching that C race.
My 5p is on the fact that everybody is just sick to death of changing wheels. And they will have gone out on whatever they can find. And whatever was in the bike. I did. Richard Blakeman did joke as we walked past coming back from the break, and I'm going to change my wheels today for the 7th time, and it really is something that there is zero joy in doing. But here we are, Chris Walker then, the 155, all over the back of Paul Reynolds, and Chris saying that he really enjoyed Ah, right, it's not. That is Paul Groom on. Right, so I can see what these guys have done here. So we've got a bit of a transponder swap. So that's actually Chris Walker's bike with Paul Groom on it, and that will have on the tyres that are ideal. So they will have had wets in one bike and slicks in the other, and they will have taken whichever one had the right tyres on it, which is a smart way of doing it. They have got 3 bikes under that Tripz.UK awning. As I was saying, see the numbers there of the 155 of Chris Walker, but he's going to be out in the A group. So either that bike has wets on it and they're putting slicks on the other one for him. But Reynolds then, his knee down. Still never used to ride like that. I said, you see, that's what you get when you have road racers on your team. You start riding knee down, he'll have a visor on next. No. We've had some good races with Paul in the past, and he's a decent lad. Likes a pint, and he's a bit of a legend in the paddock. An all-round nice guy, and again another one of these guys that's supporting the sport, helping a lot of riders along. And although the cash input is not massive in real terms for most motorsports, it's still money that... Oh, massive moment there from Groom. But yeah, they've got about 7 or 8 guys under there, and awning and bringing guys through the academy class.
Darrell Pennington looking to the inside there, but not quite close enough.
Yeah, you can see that obviously Reynolds has been to the Dan Spencer School of covering the inside, because he was down he moved to the inside on that straight halfway down, and made it quite clear to Paul Groom that if he was coming by, he was going to go around the outside. And Pennington was there looking like he wanted to have a go at both of them. And Darrell Pennington then from up there in the northeast. We've seen him make A finals quite a lot this year. But it was a tough crowd this weekend. We've got a couple of extra guys in there, and it's certainly meant that it's not been as easy.
So looking at our live timing, the fastest man on track is currently our race leader, the 255 of Kyle Eccleston, who's doing a 117.9, followed by Dean Wingate, who looks like he's having a pretty lonely race, about 4 seconds shy of Kyle, doing a 119. And then it's back to this 3-rider battle with Paul Reynolds, Paul Groom and Darrell Pennington.
Yeah, so neither of those guys at the front will be worried about the fact they're not having an entertaining race. A win's a win and a second's a second, and they'll both be happy to be on the box. As again, Reynolds covers the inside Groom. He's going to try and come down, but there's just not the ability there to make a pass. And he's also aware of the fact that Darrell Pennington will be in through any gap that he happens to leave. You can see that those guys are getting out of that corner better than the kids on the 85s, just with how the track has dried. This late evening sun here at Three Sisters then giving us another dry track in what was it, 25 minutes since it was fully wet, something like that.
Yep, about that.
And as we look at the 188, Seth Gibson, another rider then that's come through the ranks, I believe, and he's starting to close in on the back of this battle. So Gibson, then a few laps to go, and I think that it's fair to say that at the front of this one, Reynolds is just holding these guys up a little bit, and that is giving Gibson, he's the only one that's got any free track to work with, it's giving Gibson the chance to close in. As Reynolds then knee down, Groom is going to try and go up the inside here. You always think you're going to make a pass on the inside, it never happens. I think the only time I saw it was yesterday, when I think Chris Hodgson made a little bit of a mistake, and Jay Smith managed to open the gap. Oh, there we go. That was the mistake from. We came back online there.
He did not leave that line open for long.
Poor Reynolds knew. He ran wide and then just turned right, didn't he? Paul Groom did really well to avoid contact there. Yeah, in fairness, he was nicer than I would have been, because I'd have thought, yeah, this is going to end in a collision here. But they come down the hill off the Coward Summit. And in fairness to Paul, he's been riding well. I think he's won a couple of races in the last couple of rounds. I think he had a win yesterday in one of the classes. So he's also taking his racing more seriously. Or is that a barge up the inside? Another pass? No. In fact, is that Pennington?
Yeah.
Under pressure from Gibson. So yeah. So getting back to the number 10, but like you said, he said, try a bit harder these days. He's like, I don't like giving up places as much, and you're having a good ride, getting your elbows out. That's half the fun. So he's enjoying his racing, and we're enjoying commentating on it, giving us something to enjoy. As we again look at Seth Gibson, he's closed in on the back of these guys, making this a 4-rider battle. Our caption says that it is the last lap, and we can see then that Kirk is out there on the grass. So here comes Gibson round the outside. Is he going to make a pass on Pennington? Pennington closes the door on him, but he's going to get... Oh, that was a...
I think he might have clipped the back of
Groovy
there.
That was a missed opportunity by Gibson. He just needed to hang back just a little bit, as we just got a very brief view of our race leader. That's the number 28 of Sam Tuzel, one of our Jersey contingent. There he is. That's our race leader then over in the off-road section, the 255 of Kyle Eccleston. He's that far up that our cameras have lost him.
And there's the 125 of Dean Wingate there in second.
There he is. Here's Kyle then. So we'll see him across the line, as we should rightfully do. So he'll be happy with that. I think he'd have liked to have found his way up into the A group today, but he's pragmatic enough to know that some days it happens and some days it doesn't. So a nice celebratory wheelie across the line for the 255 KTM, Bathmate KTM of Kyle Eccleston. Here's the battle for third and fourth. We'll get a wheelie from Dean Wingate then in the main window, but here's the battle for third, and it is going to be Reynolds that holds on from Paul Groom. He's not just going to have enough time, and he does hold on. Gibson not managing to make the pass on Darryl Pennington. So that was those guys across the line, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. And then we wait then for Craig Forshaw. He comes across the line from the 817 of Harley Sharp. And then ninth looks like that might have been Luke Hutchinson.
You can see there, I think that's Jake Sayer and Mark Stevens coming across the line.
James Wood in 12th, Luca Jennings 11th. Yeah, it was Rigg in 12th, Jamie Wrigglesworth in 10th, Luca Jennings 11th, James Wood in 12th. I'm going to go down and do it. So that's our final B race of the day, and we've got our A riders down there in pit lane. We'll get the B group riders get themselves up on the podium. There we see the 125 of Dean Wingate on his RWJ Husqvarna, and there's the race winner 255 of Kyle Eccleston. He'll be pleased with that. And again, Paul Reynolds. Like I say, this is a sport that age no barrier. If you can turn the throttle and you can ride a bike, you can come and do supermoto. A lot of guys out there, all ex-motocrossers. And so there is Dean Wingate, and again another guy that I've had some great races with over the years. Another guy that rides hard but fair. Third place then, the number 10 Pekka. Paul Reynolds, the Automotive Solutions team boss. Your race winner, Kyle Eccleston, in the centre on the Bathmate KTM. He's too tired to take his helmet off. Don't want to see how good looking he is. And in third place there on the left-hand side, the number 125, Dean Wingate. So that is your podium for B group race. But now the final race of our day, British Supermoto A, brought to you by Sheen Projects. So Richard Sheen then, one of our racers. He is the purveyor of fire doors and industrial stuff like that, windows and all sorts of things. And yeah, all of these guys are just celebrating the fact that the sun's out. I am really looking forward to a race that is, after having so many things that are neither one thing nor the other, a good straight fight at the end of the day. Is something that we look forward to. So who's your money on for this one?
I'd say I'm torn between Chris Hodgson and Storm Stacey on this one.
So riders then out there on the warm-up lap.
don't know what Storm's doing with his leg there. Maybe, yeah, leg off style.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's going for.
I think he's going to try and ride a new style, yeah. So Richard Blakeman, like I say, this meeting, the John Blakeman Memorial Weekend, and always nice to remember John. A great character in the pits.
Some legs off there from Storm. Definitely having fun on this warm-up lap.
I was actually watching that through the window and not on the screen, and I thought he'd gone down. Somebody has gone down, or unless we've got we just got a yellow flag waving, then just the marshal to say that his area of the track is clear. So this is the final race of our day then, and remains to be seen. Who have we got? What was our results from our earlier races?
So Chris Hodgson has taken the win in both race 1 and 2. So right now he's on for the overall.
Jack Nation getting himself ready there. We're on board with Jay Smith. So reverse grid in this one as well, don't forget. So Nation starting from pole. Let's see what he can do. He's had a decent weekend. Ian Bremner in there as well. But it looks like he's at Richard Sharp coming through. So Sharp looks like he's taken the whole shot. Jay Smith there, we can see that that's the back end of Chris Hodgson's bike. So, big crash at the top of the hill. Lots of riders involved in that one.
Can see Storm's up. Chris Hodgson's there trying to get his bike up.
Oh, Jay Smith there, not able to get the Honda to fire. Oh, I don't know who's the first guy down there. There's Chris Walker. Storm Stacey is on the floor, so... Well, that's certainly made things interesting. Didn't see what happened. We might get a replay of that one, but let's see who's in the lead, and it is at the moment it is Richard Sharp from the number 7 Jamie Duncan.
It looks like Chris Hodgson's just come off out of screen here. He's just come off at the bottom of the hill, so I wonder if he's having a brake issue, but he has rejoined. So
Chris Hodgson then right at the back, just coming past pit lane, so we'll concentrate on the on-screen action for you, for all of you watching it out there in the internet land. But it is then the 217 of Richard Sharp. I said he was due a win.
Yeah.
So this is his chance.
Also a great
Jamie Duncan in there
Jamie
as well. Yeah, Jamie Duncan having a great start. So these guys are gone. I think that might be Ian Bremner there in third position. So Bremner
getting a great start from that front row.
Yep. Although he did get mugged a little bit, but he just managed to find his way through. So I really hope that somebody's down in pit lane telling Sharpie that everybody else is gone, because he just needs to concentrate on going forwards, and I think he's got what it needs to hold off JD. But Duncan tries to have a look down the inside. So here we are. This is the battle. It wasn't the riders that we were expecting.
No.
But Duncan then tries to make a move around the outside.
I think Jamie's going to have the bit between his teeth here. He'll know that he's in second and that this win's on the cards. He'll be pushing Sharpie as much as he can to make a mistake.
It's fair to say that I do have a lot of time for Jamie Duncan. I think he's a great guy, but he's a glass half empty merchant if ever there was one. He didn't think he's been having a great year, but he's shone so many times. He had a great weekend at Crail for round 4, took double points, tied on we had a 3 rider, has a long look over his shoulder, ends up on the grass, looks over his shoulder to see how much of a gap he got and ended up on the grass, but they're gone. Brennan then coming under pressure from, who was that round?
That's
Richard Blakeman. So let's watch Richard Blakeman, see if he can make progress. He's not going to catch the top 2. There's Jay Smith. So Smith making his way through. So this is going to put the cat among the pigeons for the overall, with Odgie well out of the points.
Yeah, Jay's made his way back up to 12th so far. So
no Storm Stacey. Stacey showing us 15th. Smith showing us 12th. Hodgson showing us 16th. So you're going to need to do some fingers and thumbs maths on this one, because we need to know who's going to win the overall. Feel free to get scribbling. Is this going to be an overall for either Jamie Duncan or Richard Sharp, or even Richard Blakeman? Oh, this would be an awesome situation. Blakeman lying there in third. Smith then on the back of Alex Mullaney. He's had a quiet day, but riding through the pain barrier. And like I say, we did not see what's happened. We're on board with Jay Smith. It'll be interesting to know if we've got a replay of that from Jay Smith's onboard camera. Our guys downstairs busy as they are, but that'll be nice to see. So it is Richard Sharp then at the front on the 217 Bathmate Husqvarna from the number 7 with Jamie Duncan. As we watch through the rest of the field, here they come down into pit lane. But Hodges' crash was a weird one. He went down on his own. But, yeah. So Duncan then looking all over. We've got a yellow flag. Somebody in the off-road, can't see who that is for. Well, there's a bike stopped at the side of the track, just on the entrance to the off-road section.
That
so,
looks like it's Storm Stacey.
It does indeed. So Stacey is out of this one. He'll be a DNF, unfortunately. Director downstairs giving me the news that unfortunately... Oh, Sharpie nearly goes down, lost the rear end. Yeah, we don't have the ability to run replays off the onboard camera. I remember days when we never had on. Are we going to get a run down the inside? Duncan throws it down the inside. Is he going to go straight on? No, he does. Yes, he does.
He made the corner.
Oh, here we go. Oh, he's nearly got him back. Richard's going to try him. Oh, he looks over his shoulder and see there's nobody there. And he'll be kicking himself for that one. But you carry on with your maths. We need to know who's going to win the overall on this one, because this is going to be... So Jamie Duncan, after really not feeling it today, felt that he wasn't riding great, and just didn't feel that the weekend was going his way. He's leading this race, this final. Richard Sharp in second. Sharpie's had 2 fourths, I think, and the second, possibly, maybe a 5th. Big shout out to Matthew Lebrun in 5th position on this one. He's having a great ride. Now he's chasing down the 34 of Ian Bremner, because those guys are in for our Clubman Championship, a separate championship for riders that have not ridden a full year of British Championship before. And obviously Lebrun, a novice, I'll say not a novice, but he's a newcomer to this championship, coming over from Jersey. But JD, Jamie Duncan, on that Contract Solutions KTM, starting to check out. Richard Sharp then got the back straight lead. Then it's Blakeman. Then it's going to be Ian Brennan. He's going to have altitude sickness. Then it's Smith. So Smith has passed Lebrun on that lap. So Jay up to 5th. I think this might be Jay's, you know. It's certainly going to be close. But Jamie Duncan then, we had a chat with him earlier on, and he just felt that he just not having the best of years, just a few teething troubles with the bike, just silly things going wrong that you would never expect. Just hope that we don't see one of them now. But Richard Sharp is just say when JD gets his finger out, he's a tough cookie to beat. Here we go, on board with Jay Smith. He's on to the back of Ian Bremner as they come through the off-road. He's going to go down the inside. You don't see many passes there, but Smith throws it down the inside. So he relegates Bremner to 5th. But the man from Glasgow having a fantastic ride. But race leader's already onto the top of Coward Summit. We are going to need to do all of our fingers and thumbs and toes to see who's going to win this one. Danielle is calculating feverishly away. We do not have access to the live timings for the overalls through my laps at this point. They have to be uploaded. So Harriet and Laura over the far side will be working away on that as soon as we get our race results. But Duncan then checking out at the front now. He just needs to not make a mistake. Very careful through there, as everybody else has been throughout the day. We've seen a couple of guys go down there earlier on in the day. But LeBrun then about 4 seconds adrift of Bremner, and he was telling me in the break that to win his class, he knows he needs to beat Bremner in this final race. It'll be interesting to see if he manage it. I'm not seeing Chris Hodgson at all in this one, so has he actually pulled out, or is he still just circulating well back? He's still going round. Well, he's going round without a front brake lever, but Jamie Duncan will soon be putting a lap on Chris Hodgson. And for all of this, this is going to make quite a big difference in the championship, because Jamie Duncan, our current championship leader, let's not forget, after playing his joker at Crail, is going to come round to lap the guy that he's expecting to give him the biggest trouble this weekend. Duncan has a look over his shoulder to see where Richard Sharp is, but he's going to see Chris in the distance, and he's going to be wondering what's going on.
So, as the championships, well, the overall for today stands, it would be Jay Smith taking the overall. So Jay's currently sat in 4th. And then we would have a tie for 2nd between Jamie Duncan, Richard Sharp and Richard Blakeman. So it would be Jamie taking the 2nd as it stands now, because he's taken the overall in this last one. So
it will be Richard Sharp on the podium, and unfortunately then, as though Richard Sharp has the rear end step out. So Richard Blakeman then not able to make the podium. But he's had a really good weekend, and he's riding through the pain barrier. Obviously, you showed me the pictures from earlier on of his the result of his crash at Crail. That had an incident with Dean Hillier, which was not his fault, not really Dean's fault. Dean just made a mistake and clattered into the barriers and took Richard off. But so he's had a decent day. That's the 155 of Chris Walker. He's a lap down. He looks over his shoulder, so Kirk is preparing the last lap flag to go out for our race leader. So Jamie Duncan comes across the line. Here he is into turn 1, and Sharp, he's not giving this up, you know. And if he does make the pass, that will give him 2nd overall. I'm not sure what they've got down there in pit lane. I'm not sure whether there's people hanging out there with boards. But Jamie Duncan then for the final time down the hill. Looks over his shoulder. Sharpie's not close enough.
I think Jamie wants to tell him that he needs to stop looking over his shoulder, since he did end up doing a little bit of an extra off-road earlier.
Oh, man, that was I can't believe that. I mean, especially with the rain that we've had, that grass down there. I mean, I've been in that tyre wall down there, and you get on the grass when it's wet and you just accelerate into it. I had a tangle back in the day with Kev Drayton, just one of those things. We both argued over the same bit of tarmac, and we both lost and ended up going down the grass. And I think I ended up the wrong side of the commentary box, almost halfway down the straight before I stopped sliding. Maybe more due to my boat-like shape than anything else. But anyway, enough about that. This has been a great ride from Jamie Duncan, and although he's not going to take the overall win, he will be 2nd overall on countback, and for the 2nd time.
Great redemption ride from Jamie in that last one.
He's coming across the line. Those 2 guys a lap down. Chris makes another point up on Chris Walker. That's Blakeman across the line in 3rd. Jay Smith recovers to a fine 4th, which will give him the overall victory here this weekend. And so by our rudimentary mathematics, we are saying that it's going to be Ian Bremner. Fantastic ride for him in 5th. 6th place then LeBrun. He looks disappointed in that, because he knows he needed to beat Bremner to take victory, and he got that gap down to 3 seconds at the end. But he did beat Jack Nation, so he is going to be 2nd overall in the Clubman class. Paul Rhodes comes across. Alex Mullaney's coming across the line. Peter Bennett's. Rhodes in 10th. Mitchell 11th. Blaine Pearson is going to be 12th. Ollie Holmes 13th. Dean Hillier 14th. And Chris Hodgson lapped in... obviously damaged his machine quite So on board then from Jay Smith. So that's a fantastic end to our racing action here. We've got our podium to come, and we've got a three-way tie for second position. Again, by our mathematics, please don't take us as official. We're as official as we can be. But a race win then. Wait and see what we're going to put on, but Jamie Duncan is going to go on the top step of the podium. So we'll throw it over down to Danielle in pit lane.
That third, we saw you over the line.
Magic, absolutely magic that is. Whew. I'm glad there was some carnage at the front.
Did you see what happened? Because I think we might have missed it.
I think Chris went down, lost the front, and everyone ploughed into him basically. So yeah, that were hard work that. I could see Jay coming. I think another maybe two laps here. I think he was been right with me. But no, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed all day. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you didn't have to use your wets.
No, I must have changed 10 times today. Wet to dry, and then the second race it started raining. But Jamie was like, no, full slick! So I changed back from my wet to my slick, and I'm glad I did, so yeah, it's been a good day.
So what you're really saying is you are Jamie?
Only for the second race. Only for we can have a cuddle if you want.
So,
Larry.
Woohoo! We don't currently have Richard Sharp on the podium with us, who did a astounding race there, getting second. He did get the whole shot, he did lead it for a little while, but it was this man here that managed to take the win. So you've managed to actually do some winning on some slicks.
Yeah, definitely have. The new slicks I put in the last race definitely helped, but I've been turning them around all day, so I have a fresh edge for lunar, but just happy to actually win something because I've had a terrible weekend. So that's made me happy.
So we think, with Danielle's fingers and thumbs and maths, we think you three are all tied for second, but we think you'll have got the second because you've taken the win. So we think that's what's happened. We think Jay may have got the win overall. So, and we'll have a quick chat with Richard, seeing as he almost forgot about us. But no, really well done in that one. Great start.
Yeah, good. Obviously, there was an incident on the second corner. I don't know what happened because I were in front, and then me and Jamie got away. Good race, me and Jamie. Really enjoyed it. Good day. Anything else?
Yeah, so I will pass back to Phil back in the commentary box, but it's been a great day's racing. Well done to everybody, but I'll throw it back to Phil.
Okay, cheers Danielle. So that's our top three then for that final race of the day. Jamie Duncan taking a great victory then from the 2-on-7 of Richard Sharp, and a great third place then for Richard Blakeman on the final race of his Dad John's Memorial Weekend, as the guys are now just going to just chat about the race and what we call a bit of bench racing. But well, by the sounds of it, Chris Hodgson just made a small mistake, and obviously before he had a chance to correct that, he just got collected and they all went down, and that was what resulted in all of those riders ending up at the back. But by our mathematics that we can see here, we think that's going to give the overall win then to the 33 Humber Garage Racing Honda of Jay Smith. Second place then will be the man that we're looking at there on screen on the Contract Solutions KTM, the number 7 of Jamie Duncan. He will take second on countback as a 3-rider tie. Third position on the podium will go to Richard Sharp with that second position, and unfortunately Richard Blakeman, although he finished third in that one, tying on points because he obviously finishes third in the race on countback, he will end up fourth overall. But obviously all of those results will be confirmed later on all of our social media and Facebook and the like. So I'd like to thank you all for watching. Obviously the next round coming up is, I think, on August Bank Holiday weekend at Oliver's Mount in Scarborough, so we hope that you can join us for that. My name's Phil G. We will sign off from Three Sisters at round 5 of this British Supermoto Championship. Thank you for all of our marshals and officials. Thank you for my co-commentator Danielle, still down there in pit lane, and all of you people for watching. And we will see you all next time.